Hello, hello. Welcome everyone, welcome. Hopefully everything's okay. We are ready to rock and roll. I think we're ready to rock and roll. Hey. Got my coffee. I'm ready to rock and roll. Hope you guys are too. How's it going, everyone? Morning. Good morning to you. I haven't said that for a while. For an F1 race. Good morning. We need a sad harmonica music for poor Lando. Well, we'll see. We'll see. But yes, hope you're all doing well, guys. Hope your Sunday's been treating you nicely. And hopefully we're in for a very intriguing and interesting Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Surely we can't go 8 races in a row without a safety car, can we? Surely. I mean, Lando Norris would definitely be praying to the gods that there's a safety car today, because I think he's definitely going to need one. You expected it 3 hours later, Yui. I did remind you guys yesterday. I did remind you. Race is in on the hour, Phil. 12 o'clock midday. That is when the race will get underway. So yeah, because we're in Azerbaijan, they're 3 hours ahead, so we're 3 hours behind. Which means, yeah, instead of the race being at 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. Oh, it's always 3 p.m. the race starts, wherever it is in the world, pretty much, unless it's a night race. So yeah, that's why we're kicking off at 12 o'clock, and why we've clicked off at 11:15 today, UK time, 45 minutes before. So guess you're staying in, Phil. We'll get to my predictions shortly, Hassan. We'll get to them shortly. But there is some news for those of you who are tuning in and are not aware. Pierre Gasly yesterday, after qualifying, was disqualified due to not providing, they weren't able to provide a sufficient fuel sample. It was something to do with the fuel. So because of that, they have been disqualified. Just like you remember Sebastian Vettel was back in Hungary a few years ago when Esteban Ocon won. Fuel sample wasn't sufficient, and yeah, they were disqualified because of it. Same thing happened with Gasly, I believe, something to do with fuel anyway. And then it has come news to us this morning that Lewis Hamilton, who qualified in P7, is starting from the pit lane. Now, my comment beforehand in the chat was that he has taken a new power unit, or it's because of a new power unit. He has taken one. That is correct. However, the reason he's starting from the pit lane is not due to the power unit. That was within their allocation. It's because they've changed the suspension on the car and they've broken part Ferme rules. That's the reason why Lewis is starting from the pit lane. So, yeah, a whole kind of change of the car setup in the car all round. Something that they've clearly discovered on the car, because Lewis Hamilton, that wasn't a very good qualifying performance from him, but was clearly related to the temperatures in the car. Maybe it was to do to a correlation of how the suspension was working with the setup. So something maybe gone wrong there from Friday to Saturday, because the Merc in Hamilton's hand did look very good on the Friday. So yeah, that's what's happened. So they've got a new power unit. He, like Lando Norris, will be hoping for a safety car today so that he can get back into this race. And that's, with those two demotions there of Lewis and Gasly, means that Lando is now starting in 15th rather than 17th. So that is your news today. The starting grid for the remote, looks like Sainz and Perez, neither of them have been given post-qualifying or post-practice penalties for impeding, so they're okay and will be starting where they qualified. Morning, one. Good to see ya. It was a fuel injection. It was too many kg. Was it? Okay. I knew it was to do with the fuel. But, yeah, a bit of a topsy-turvy grid. But this circuit, I mean, surely there's a safety car today. I think we need one. I think we do need one at Baku. we'll get to the tyre strategy. We'll get to the strategy options shortly, as we always do. Have a look at the tyre allocations for today, and look at the weather and the tyre deck and so forth. And that all important pit stop loss time. It is quite a long one here at Baku, and also, if there is a safety car, then we need to keep an eye out on how much time drivers can make up if they pit under a VSC or a safety car. So that's going to be important. Morning, Roddy. Good to see you. Going to be a slog for Hamilton fans today. Maybe. I think we'll see an aggressive Lewis today. I think we'll see a Lewis that will progress quite well. I think he has, with a brand new engine, he's always going to have an advantage in power. And that Mercedes is super quick where it matters in the last sector. So, yeah. It was definitely looked better in race trim on the Friday than it did in qualifying yesterday. So I think we'll see an aggressive Lewis, and I think we'll see him finishing the points today, even without a safety car. What time's the race start? On the hour, Dave. 12 p.m. midday. So you've got just over half an hour until the race starts, basically. Behrman P10, he is a young driver. Oh, yes, that does promote Behrman up into P10. So, yeah, good opportunity for him today. And Colapinto as well. Also up a position into P8 rather than P9. How many laps is Baku? Not entirely sure. Not entirely sure how many laps we've got in Baku. It's around a 1 minute 45 lap time, I think it is. 1 minute 46 on race fuel, so it's quite long. I'm going to guess maybe around, is it 50? Yeah, 50 to 60 laps. 53, Aditya said there. That sounds about right, because I think Spa is 51. So the lap time there is not too much shorter than Spa. So 51 laps. Why is because he's been demoted. He's starting from the pit lane, Kiba, as we just mentioned, due to some changes on the car. Your prediction is Oscar P1, Leclerc P2, and Verstappen P3. So let's talk about my predictions then. I've got a sensible one and I've got a crazy one. So my sensible one is that, look, there's no safety cars, as there hasn't been for the last 7 races. And unfortunately, we have a bit of a boring race. And I do think Piastri, the McLaren, has the race pace over the Ferrari. And I think Piastri will win this race with Leclerc probably second and Sainz finishing in third. Top 3 are as they are, and I think that's what will happen, except that Piastri will get Charles Leclerc even in the undercut or the overcut, one of the two. The exciting version is that we get safety cars and Lando Norris finishes on the podium. Lewis Hamilton finishes in the top 5. Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez finish outside the top 5. Lando Norris gains points on the championship lead of Max Verstappen, and that's the intriguing side of it. I still think Piastri will probably win this race. I think it's Piastri's to lose, to be honest with you, starting from second. I think the McLaren definitely just has the overall pace on the Ferrari and race trim, but we'll see. Do you know if the baby's a boy or a girl? No, yeah, we found out, Lee. Yeah, just me and the missus found out. We're not all this big, massive gender reveal stuff. We just recorded ourselves, just opening up the envelope, finding out exactly what it was, and sent it to close friends and family. So, yeah, got a little girl on the way, man. Really excited. I'm a little crazy if there is a car Hamilton will win. My mind is... sorry. Well, look, stranger things have happened at Baku. We've had some real boring races at Baku, but on the flip side, we've had some real crazy races as well. So hopefully we get the crazy, because we're due a crazy race, I think. Race starts on the hour, guys. Race starts on the hour. Yes, yeah, I'm in less than a month. 3 weeks' time. 3 weeks' time is when the due date is. She could arrive any day today. If I have to nip off midstream, guys, it's because she's gone into labour. So there is potential that the next couple of watch-alongs I could have to dip off midstream. Priorities, guys. As much as I love F1, that is a priority because it's also my first as well. So, but thank you, everyone. Thank you. Yeah. So don't worry, the watch-alongs will be uninterrupted moving forward as well. So, get sleep now. I'm trying, Mario. Yeah, I'm trying. What if we get a lap 1, turn 1 today? Yeah, there is always that feeling. that potential that there could be crashes. I mean, I don't know if you saw a bit of a different circumstance with a car stalling on the grid earlier on today in F2, but that F2 crash at the start was mental. So thanks, guys. How am I feeling, James? Quite relaxed, really. Yeah, quite relaxed. It still feels weird to say out loud. It does feel, because I don't feel I'm ready for it, but I don't feel the age that I am. I'm 33 next week. I know, guys, I don't look it. But yeah, it's the right time, but it still hasn't truly hit home. I guess it will do when we bring her home and there's another mouth to feed, you know? So, but it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it. Will she make a stream appearance? No, Ben. No, I'm not. I'll keep her off streamers for as long as I can, really. I'm not really that sort of person to show babies off on stream and stuff like that. So keep her private for herself. Not that I'm a big YouTuber or anything, but yeah. I will try and get her into the rig when she's big enough, though. 30k. Yeah, hopefully we hit 30k today, guys. So not much longer. We're just waiting for more people to filter in, and then we'll have a look at, of course, the strategy options for today, if there is no safety car and all the other information. But we do look at before a race starts. So I will be, yeah, thanks, Tim. Yeah, soon. First newborn, yeah, 2 years to teach to walk and talk, and rest of your life to shut up. In my opinion, this year's champ will be questioned a lot. Taking you back 27 years, Daisy. Yeah, I'm always, me and the missus are very relaxed about it all. We accept change, so we're good like that. So we don't really have any difficulties in like moving about like flat wires and things, because yeah, we're accepting of that. So which young drivers program are you enrolling her in? Yeah, I'd need a bit more support, to be fair, with how much F1 motorsport costs these days. She won't be doing motorsport. So right, no, race starts on the hour, James. 12 o'clock today, race starts. So yes, on the hour, wherever you are in the world, time zone wise, race starts basically in half an hour's time. And on that note, should we have a look at the strategy options for today? Let's head to it. Right. Here we go, guys. Here we go. Strategy options for today. Look how bloody boring that is. Oh, that's why we need a safety car. This right here is why we need a safety car, guys. Because it is otherwise going to be a boring one-stop race. Medium to hard compound. We know the hard compound in previous years here has been able to go nearly the full race distance. So hopefully that is not going to be the case today. But hey ho, I mean, with how recent races have gone, where drivers have had the blister in, they've had the deg, but then been able to drive through it, the two-stopper is definitely not a viable option today, in my personal opinion. You're just going to lose so much time with the pit loss time that we will check on in a second. So a safety car is a must, really, for us fans, I think, to have an interesting race, as is kind of the case at street circuits as well. The field spread can be a little bit more dramatic than at normal race circuits. So yeah, we'll see, but I think we need a safety car today, guys. So last 7 races, James. Today would be the 8th, and that's the longest. We're already on the longest run since 2011. I don't know what the record is, but yeah, I mean, surely if anywhere there's going to be a safety car, it's going to be Baku today. Going to be Baku. So going to be watching 3 races today. Oh, plotted, Kurt, plotted. Is Hamilton starting from the pit lane? Yes, he is, Arnold. Yeah, he is. Ricardo will be strategy 1, methinks. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, they were chatting to Lando Norris in regard to his strategy options as about starting on the medium or the hard. Of course, does he decide to go long on the hard compound tyre or and hope for a safety car? Or does he go aggressive at the start on the medium compound? So decisions to be made for those who are starting a little bit further back. Up front, I think most likely we'll see the front runners start on the medium compound. The softest compound always is, the medium is always kind of the tyre of choice. It leaves them open to that two-stopper on the hard compound and leaves them open to a set of softs at the end of the race as well, if there's, as we said, safety cars. So only 300 subs to go. Less than 300 subs to go to 30k. Yeah, thank you, guys. If you could hit that subscribe button, if you haven't already, big thank yous. If you are new to this stream and you're liking it, we do these. I've actually managed to make every single F1 race this year, which is a challenge. I thought I might have to miss a few. I even did one from my hotel room. I remember that one. I can't remember. The Canadian race. Still had 8,000 viewers from my laptop. That's crazy, without even a face cam. So big thank you guys for the continued support and the growth that we've experienced this year. I think I've said it before, we've more than doubled the amount of subscribers we had at the start of the year. So yeah, big thank you for everyone who keeps tuning in. But yes, one last time, lights out on the hour, guys. We have less than half an hour. So that is the strategy options for today. Hopefully we get safety cars to sprucing up the excitement. But here are the tyre allocations, and well, we can see, and there's an intriguing one here, that is Russell and Hamilton don't only have one set of brand new hards available to them. They used them on the Friday, and they used them a bit yesterday as well in FP3. Obviously trying to get some data on them, whereas the other drivers haven't used a hard compound tyre. So we'll see if that benefits the Mercedes in regards to what they learned. But yes, pretty much like for like across the board. Russell and Hamilton have one set of used mediums available to them. I don't know how used they are, to be honest with you. But yeah, Verstappen, Perez, Leclerc, Sainz, Piastri and Norris even have two brand new sets of hards. Norris, of course, not making it out of Q1 yesterday, has 3 brand new softs available to him. Will that be to his advantage come the end of the race if we have some safety cars? And then throughout the rest of the grid is kind of as is. You can see Ricciardo, Tsunoda, Bottas and Zhou there not having a brand new set of hard tyres available. Neither have Stroll and Alonso. That's mostly because they just scrubbed them off to try and get temperatures into them a bit quicker. Alonso have a good race. Yeah, the Aston Martins do look quick in a straight line. It's whether or not they're going to have a lot of tyre deg, or if with that low downforce setup that they've got, and if they'll have the pace in the remaining sectors. It's all well and good being quick in sector 3, but there's also another overtaking spot from turn 2 to turn 3. So most teams will go for one-stop straight if there aren't any safety cars. 100%, Vitesh, 100%. So track temperature, we'll get to that shortly. The data hasn't gone live yet in regards to what the track temp is. So this is the tyre deg data, and you can see here that the softs are, well, per lap. Well, tyre deg is basically a temp 12 plus 0.12 per lap. The medium 0.07 and the hard 0.04. So obviously the harder compound a tyre, the longer they're going to last, and that's the fall off in pace that you have. So the softs get arguably over a tenth slower per lap, which is quite a lot, really, quite a lot. But then we have a look at the all-important safety car pit stop loss here. So 20.5 seconds. I actually thought the pit stop loss here is a bit higher. So evidently it isn't. So 20.5 seconds is the gaps we'll be looking to for drivers if they want to get into clean air, guys. The safety car, half a dip, well, basically 9 seconds there almost, isn't it? Between the 9.5 seconds pit stop gain in time if there is a VSC or a safety car. So and you can see the previous deployments there from 2016 to 2023. The safety car has come out over 57% of the time, VSC 29%, and the red flag 29%. The last 2 races we did have no safety car. So yeah, let's see. Hopefully that changes today. No chance of rain, 0% chance, sunny blue skies over in Azerbaijan, in Baku. So yeah, that is what we have in store for us today, guys. That is what we have in store. So yeah, really, we need safety cars, don't we? Jaden's here. Sorry, Jaden. Yeah, Albon mentioned it in the grid walk, saying they could be faster on corners. Albon making top 5? Hope so. I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm intrigued to see how the Red Bull in particular copes throughout this race. I think they were hoping for a higher starting track position. Their car is very draggy. It's very slow without the DRS. It gets up to speed when the DRS is opened, but the DRS is not as long as it used to be here. And that Red Bull, I think, yes, it will be quick in the first. They really need to try and force the issue in the first couple of sectors because they've got a high downforce setup. But in the last sector, they're just going to be a sitting duck, to be fair. So I'm intrigued to see if they can stay with the Ferraris and the McLaren of Piastri. Even the Mercedes of George Russell. I mean, George Russell starting... where is he starting? Is he 4th or is he... He is 4th, isn't he? Is he 1 position ahead of Perez? So, yeah, I mean, that Mercedes is just absolutely going to breeze past him because of how quick it was in the last sector. So, Leclerc. What do I think about shades on the track? What, sunglasses? Nothing wrong with sunglasses on the track. If it's sunny, you don't want to hurt your eyes, do you? Even Rick for the win again. Well, Ricciardo will be starting up a position. I mean, he needs a good performance. He hasn't had a good weekend thus far, Daniel Ricciardo. So he needs a good one. Yuki Tsunoda's starting now 11th, I think it is, with the promotion of him ahead or because of Lewis Hamilton starting from the pit lane. So Yuki Tsunoda's got a good opportunity here of scoring some decent points. He's always gone well at Baku. And of course, Daniel Ricciardo's seat is, as Yuki Tsunoda, we know, is basically there for next year. Daniel Ricciardo, we thought he was going into the Red Bull seat alongside Max Verstappen after the summer break, but Perez is now there. And Perez, if he has a good performance today and outperforms Max and does so relatively is close to Max towards the end of the season, and you think he is going to retain his seat, definitely more so than Ricciardo. So yeah, still it could be Ricciardo's last race. Maybe Lawson gets promoted by Singapore or the race after that. This year we've had just crash practice in last year's race. Any reason? I think the drivers are finding the limit in practice, whereas when it comes to the race, maybe they're a little bit more cautious. The thing is as well, I think to take into consideration is that this is the first time in F1 history where I mean, now obviously we've got Colapinto there and Behrman today, but at the start of the season, it was the first time in F1 history that the starting grid was the same as the previous year. So the drivers are very familiar with each other. I think there's been kind of maybe less aggressiveness when it comes to racing with the teams as well. And also the big factor is there's been less mechanical issues happening during the races. Most of the mechanical issues, the drivers have been able to make it back to the pit lane. But yeah, it's been, I think the drivers have been a little bit more cautious when it comes to their racing this year than it has been to previous years. So hope some of the teams gamble with a strategy today to maybe get away from the rest of the field in the early stage. We'll see, Doe. We'll see. I mean, what the teams have to take in consideration as well is that they can't burn through all of their tyres. So they have to be careful on their tyre deck because there is always the possibility of a safety car. You don't want to go absolute hammer time on your tyres and then a safety car comes out and you're then starting on the same tyres while those behind you have been able to pit onto fresher tyres and so forth. So that's also a consideration that the teams and the drivers have to take into account throughout the duration of the race, because a safety car could happen at any moment. It could happen early, it could happen in the middle, it could happen at the end. So they can't just... Charles Leclerc, if he's got a pace advantage over everyone, he can't just build up a massive gap because what if there is a safety car? He needs to ensure that, okay, he's got a gap to behind so that he can pit onto a fresh set of tyres. But if not, he could very much miss out. Well, any driver could, really. There's a question. After formation lap, will Hamilton's place remain empty or will he order? So Hamilton will not do a formation lap. Hamilton's... so everyone... Because they announced it before the race, everyone moves up an automatic position. So Hamilton... There will be a free grid spot at the back of the grid, and Hamilton will not go on the formation lap. He will just wait at the end of the pit lane when they're gridding up. So, hey Owen, good to see you, mate. Oscar's going all out on the first few laps. Yes, I mean, this is the thing. We could see Oscar cause a crash. We could see Max Verstappen. Like, I don't know, anyone cause a crash. So these cars are very big. We have seen plenty of car contact in the first couple of corners before at Baku. So, but yes, guys, those are our strategies for today. Hopefully, we get safety cars to sprucing things up a bit, and that is our pit stop loss gain and time there. 11 seconds, 9.5 second difference to the stationary, the normal green flag conditions. So yeah, if you get a cheeky VSC, which has happened before with the debris, just so that they can clear the track, then yeah, it could be a big advantage to those who are able to take advantage of that. So. But right, looks like the data is live and ready for us to go ahead. So let me just change scene. Lando, no option for Lando to win the gap, you've got to believe. Yeah, maybe. I'll run another poll. I'll run another couple of polls before, well, a poll before the race begins, so. Right, hang on. This is the race we need K-Mag. It probably is. It probably is. Right. Just setting things up, guys. Hang on. Where's the... Why is that not changing? There we go. Right. Let's see if this works. Right, should be ready to go. Should be ready to go. Let's go. Yeah, I think that's right. Just need to move chat over. There you go. We'll do that. We'll do that. Bosh. Ready to rock and roll. Ready to rock and roll. Hey, Aaron. Good to see you. Imagine Colapinto breaks into points. He could do. He could do. I mean, look, Alex Albon arguably was shafted by his team yesterday, wasn't he? His team yesterday really did shaft him in regard to that that air fan gun or whatever it was in the car, or hanging out at the top of the car. So, right. Why is Norris 15? Yeah, so let's have a run through this grid then, guys. Let's have a run through this grid. So we've got Charles Leclerc in P1. Oscar Piastri is in P2. Sainz P3. Perez P4. Russell P5. Verstappen P6. And because Hamilton is now starting from the pit lane because he has changed his suspension, he does have a new power unit, but that is within his allocation. So the main reason he's starting from the pit lane is because they've changed their suspension, which is breaking Part Ferme rules. Fernando Alonso moves up to 7th. Colapinto up to 8th. Albon into 9th. Behrman now starting in the top 10. Yuki Tsunoda in 11th. Hulkenberg in 12th. Stroll 13th. Ricciardo 14th. Because Pierre Gasly fouled a fuel sample test, I can't remember the exact reasons for it, he was disqualified from qualifying, so he is now starting at the back of the grid in 18th, which means that Norris now starts in 15th. So he's gained 2 positions before the race has even begun, guys. Bottas in 16th, Zhou in 17th, Gasly 16th, Hamilton starting from the pit lane in 19th, and Esteban Ocon with a new power unit change and some further setup changes. He's starting in 20th from the pit lane also. So there we go, guys. Not long until the race gets underway. 15 minutes. Minus 15 minutes until this race gets underway. Oh, 0% chance of rain. We probably could do with some rain, to be honest with you. We could do a bit. Track temp's up. Yes, so track temp now is 46.7 degrees. Woo! That is a lot higher than I think we've seen all weekend. So air temperature is a little bit hotter as well. So yes, that could play a factor today in these in this race. Now, Charles Leclerc, interestingly, did say on his way to the drivers' parade, being interviewed, said that he's done no high fuel running this whole weekend. So that could play a factor in his race today. No doubt they've got the data from Carlos Sainz, but it's another thing to not have had any running on high fuel. So that's really intriguing insight there from Charles Leclerc. But I'm going to pause the poll. How many have we got? So I'm going to end the poll because I want to run another one. And, well, 583 votes. Charles Leclerc overwhelmingly. 48% of you think Charles Leclerc is going to win this race. 26% Piastri. 18% either Perez or Verstappen. And 7% either Sainz or Russell. Right, I'm going to run another one. And let's see what you think of this. Oh, hang on. Bloody keyboard. There we go. What do you think? What do you think? Bearing in mind, he only needs to make up 5 positions to get into the points positions now, guys. Hey, Emily, good to see you. Hamilton starting, yeah, so once again, guys, Hamilton starting from P19 because he has broken part Fermi rules. He has a new power unit, which is within his allocation, but because he's changed the suspension on the car. So that's why he's starting from the pit lane. Imagine if Perez was trolling us for so long. Can a driver do a one-stop on this track? Yeah, that's the one-stop on this track is the optimum strategy. That's what we've seen implemented whenever we've not had a safety car at Baku. And hopefully that isn't the case today, because that would be very boring for us. So let's hope there are some safety cars and some drama. You think Leclerc, Sainz, Piastri, Russell and Verstappen? Hopefully Lando can make these positions and at least get ahead of Verstappen. Yeah, we'll see, we'll see. How's my day been, Troll? Yeah, good, man. Good. Watched the F2 race earlier. I've had some nice brekkie. I've had coffee. I'm caffeinated up and I'm ready for this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Not long to go, guys. Not long to go. Less than just 10 minutes time. Not long till we find out who's going to start on what tyre. Who's going to start on the hard compound tyre? The intriguing one is whether or not Norris is going to start on the hard compound tyre and try and goal hang for a safety car, or is he going to go on the medium and go aggressive at the start? We will see. Have I noticed the track is shaped like a key? Oh yeah, it is a little bit if you turn it around the other way. Oh yeah, never noticed that. So this poll means that betting companies will profit because 50% are against Leclerc and his quote is 1.7 or something. How long's the pit stop? 20.5 seconds, and there's a 9.5 second gain if you pit under safety car. So that's the advantage you can get. So at the moment, there's 169 votes, and 43% of you think 6th to 10th is where Lando's going to finish. You don't. But next best is 4th to 5th. Few of you think he's going to finish on the podium, which I understand. I do understand. When there is an outside opportunity, I thought I'd just put that in now. I do think he'll finish in the points, Lando. Where I still think he's going to finish top 5, you know. I really do. I think he needs a safety car for him to finish on the podium. But I do think he'll finish top 5. It's, I mean, it's all dependent on how quickly he can get up to... I mean, I think he can clear the Haas's and Tsunoda pretty quickly. I think he'll get into the top 10 pretty quickly. I think those cars ahead won't have a lot. I don't think they'll be able to cope with the McLaren. It's the Williams that are going to be an issue. And overtaking Fernando Alonso is always difficult, no matter how slow his car is. So I think the Williams are going to be the real sticking block for Lando, because they are very quick in a straight line. They were at the top of the speed trap. So, yeah, we'll see. Lando is a bit quicker. I mean, the McLaren's kind of very well balanced. It's not like overly quick in any particular sector. So, yeah. Are they going clockwise or counterclockwise? Counterclockwise. That way. Yeah, so I'm pointing as if you know what I'm doing there. Yeah. Depends if Lando can get past Nando. Yeah, I mean, I think he'll get into the top 10 pretty quickly, and then it'll be considerably more difficult to get past Colapinto, Albon, and Alonso there. So, and then however long, if he gets stuck behind them, the top 6 are just going to be well far into the distance, and then that's where he will then need a safety car. But I think top 5 is possible for him today, and I think finishing ahead of Verstappen is possible as well. I think that Red Bull is going to be... I'm so intrigued, so intrigued to see how quick or slow that Red Bull is today. Really intrigued. Can they stay on the back of Mercedes, who look better in race trim? Can they stay on the back of the Ferraris? That means we'll be ahead of Perez and Verstappen. Yeah, no, I just don't think that Red Bull's quick in race trim. I think it's going to be a sitting duck. I think as soon as any of those top teams get in the toe of Verstappen, they're breezing past him, and Perez as well. So I think Red Bull have a tyre advantage with that high downforce setup. Yes, potentially, but then again, I don't think we've never really had that much of an issue with tyre deg here. And I think also as well, I think the teams have overestimated. You look at the previous races we've had where we think it's going to be a 2-stop race or something, or tyre deg is going to be an issue. Tyre deg hasn't been an issue. So I think the teams are I think this season we've seen teams overestimate the tyre degradation. And that could be, again, the case here this weekend. But the thing is with the Red Bull is that they have had a lot more tyre deg than everyone else since their issues have been starting to show up. Because that's the reason why they're running such a high downforce setup, is because if they run a lower downforce, they're going to be considerably worse than the Ferraris, the McLarens, the Mercedes with their tyre deg. So this is their mitigating factor, is that they have to run more downforce and sacrifice top speed to just look after their tyres as best as what Ferrari, Mercedes and McLaren can do. So it's not particularly that Red Bull will be better at managing their tyres, it's just it'll be better than what they've been able to do, but it won't be that they're necessarily mean they're better than the Ferraris and their competitors. So and that's what they've experienced, Dusko, yeah. So I need to get a race countdown timer, Stuffey. I'll think about, I'll do it next race. It's always kind of on the hour. Whenever I go live for a race, guys, it's always on the hour. So there is a thing called Google as well. I'm just letting you guys know. There is a thing called Google that will tell you when the race starts. Do I think... No, 0% chance of rain today, guys. Can William Duo get top 10? Definitely. Yeah, I think they can. They're very quick. I think the Williams are going to be quick they're very quick in a straight line today. It maybe depends on strategy with the Williams. So we'll see. We'll see. I know, Part. I know. I'm good, Stephen. I'm very good. Yeah, good. Thank you, guys. So not long until the tyres come off, the tyre blankets come off, and we find out who is going to be starting on what tyre. What tyre will Lando Norris start on? What tyre will Lewis Hamilton start on, starting from the pit lane? Are they going to be on a harder compound tyre and go long and hope for a safety car, or are they going to wait for, or are they going to go aggressive and go for the medium compound tyre? We will see. It's going to be intriguing to see Hamilton's progression today. He's got a new power unit in the car, a brand new suspension, and that Mercedes is quick in a straight line. It was quick in race trim over the practice sessions, but of course was left floundering in qualifying over a single lap. But Lando Norris, of course, hoping for a couple of safety cars today, or at least minimum one safety car that he can benefit from, as he is trying to chase down Max Verstappen there in P6, and Charles Leclerc, of course, hoping that he will be able to close the championship lead as well on Max Verstappen. I think if Lando fails to score points today and Leclerc wins, then he goes level with Lando Norris on points. So yes, very intriguing. Right, guys, just before they take tyre blankets off and before this race gets underway for the formation lap, I'm going to have a quick loo break, and we'll be back very, very shortly. I'm back. And oh, okay. Lando Norris starting on a hard compound tyre. Interesting, guys. Very interesting. Lando Norris on the hard. So they're hoping for a safety car going long. Alex Albon starting on a hard compound tyre there in 9th. Hamilton starting on the medium. Hamilton going to go aggressive at the start of this race. So we're going to end the pole. And, well, as we are moments away from this moments away from this formation lap getting underway. 42% of you think Lando's going to finish in the top 10, but between 6th and 10th place. 32% think in the top 5, 4th to 5th, and 17% of you think he's going to finish on the podium, with only 6% of you thinking the winner. So interesting, guys. Interesting. Not long to go. No, Hamilton won't be disqualified. No, you only get penalties, so. Do I think Danny Rick will get a seat next year? No, I don't think so now. I think that ship has sailed for him, unfortunately, with Perez being maintained. Let's see if Lando can get a good start from the back. Yeah. Norris for overcut or safety car. I think he's planning for the safety car. Yeah, I think so. But why is Lewis in 19th? Yeah, well, I'm not answering that anymore, guys. I've mentioned it enough times. If you want to have a look at why Lewis is starting from 19th and Gasly starting from 18th and Ocon, please look it up online. Right, Misty pole was cooking. No, formation lap is about to get underway. So moments away, guys, from the Azerbaijan Grand Prix getting underway here. Who's going to win? 51 laps. It's a very long circuit here. Will Charles Leclerc be able to go back-to-back after his win in Monza, going for his 3rd race win of the season? Will Oscar Piastri be able to win after him throwing away that win, him and McLaren last time out, by making that extra pit stop and pretty much gifting it to Leclerc? Will Sainz been very quiet this weekend, very understated, going quietly about his business? Will he be able to pop up and snatch a win from those two ahead? Or will it be a surprise from further back with, no doubt, hopefully, a very interesting and chaotic race ahead of us, which we have seen and experienced at Baku plenty times before. So, moments away. It is 12 o'clock. It is on the hour. The formation lap is underway, guys. Here we go. Who is going to win this race? Let me know in chat right now. Who's your winner? Who is your winner? Not top 3. Who is your winner? We've already done the poll earlier on, but if you missed it, now is your chance to let me know in chat. Who do you think is going to win this race? Do you think it's Charles Leclerc? Do you think it's Piastri? Do we think it's going to be Sainz? Do we think it's someone outside of the box there? Outside of those top 3? Let me know. Lots of Charles Leclercs, lots of Piastris, Perez, lots of King of the Street, Sergio Perez. Yes, don't rule him out. Verstappen. Ooh, imagine. Fernando Alonso, Logan Sargent, I've seen someone say. Believe me, I'm going to get a 1-2 if you're crazy. Lewis Hamilton, Russell, loads of different choices, but I think the overwhelming favourite, as the poll was earlier on today, it is Charles Leclerc, but we will see. Interestingly, not done any long running, high fuel running on his car this weekend, so we'll see how much of an impact that has throughout the duration of this race for Charles Leclerc. But thank you for tuning in. Thank you for choosing this watch along, guys, for this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Lots of familiar faces in the chat, so thank you. And those of you who are just watching at home, on the move, wherever you are, big thank you. If you could hit that like button and that subscribe button, hopefully we can hit 30,000 subs today. That'd be a massive milestone for this channel, and yeah, be massively appreciated. So yes, let's see. Hopefully, I have my fingers crossed for an interesting and chaotic Azerbaijan Grand Prix, guys. So hopefully it's not the boring one-stop race that is predicted by Pirelli that we have seen here over the last couple of years. But let's go. But safety cars needed definitely for a number of drivers, especially Hamilton, I think, and Lando Norris. I think Lando can get up there, definitely into that top 10 under his own steam, but whether or not he can get up there without a safety car, as why is the yellow flag briefly being thrown there? Come on, we're on the formation lap, guys. We're on the formation lap. Nice and easy, nice and easy. Ollie Bearman, interested to see how he gets on today as well. Up into P10, out-qualifying his teammate Nico Hulkenberg. Been promoted a position, of course, with Lewis's demotion to the pit lane. So Ollie Bearman, his second race this season in a different team. So he can increase his points tally that he currently has. He scored 7 points in Saudi Arabia. Let's see if he can add to that today in the Haas car that he'll be driving next season. So here we go, they're lining up. So let's run through the grid one last time before this race gets underway. Charles Leclerc is on pole position with Oscar Piastri and the McLaren lining up alongside him. Carlos Sainz in third, Sergio Perez in fourth. 5th, Russell. 6th, Verstappen. 7th, Alonso. 8th, Colapinto. Albon, 9th. Bearman 10th, Tsunoda 11th, Hulkenberg 12th, Stroll 13th, Ricciardo 14th, Norris 15th, Bottas 16th, Zhou 17th, Gasly in 18th, and Hamilton and Ocon are starting from the pit lane. As you can see, their icons there at the end, waiting patiently at turn 1. So moments to go here, guys. We have a few drivers starting on the hard compound tyre, hoping for a safety car and goal hanging for that. The front 8, top 8 all starting on the medium compound tyre. We saw drama at the start of the race in the F2 earlier on today. Will we see the same here in the Formula 1? Moments away, guys, moments until they line up on their grid. It is all waiting for Pierre Gasly. The longer they wait, the colder their tyres get at the front here. Lockups, we have seen plenty in the past here at Azerbaijan. Let's see. So here we go. Pierre Gasly has lined up at the back of the grid. Lights are on and it's green light, away we go as they head down to the first corner for the first time. A very short run here. How good of a start has Oscar Piastri got? It seems like Leclerc leads into turn 1 from Oscar Piastri and Carlos Sainz, that they're all single file as they head into turn 2. Lewis Hamilton and Esteban Ocon dropping in as Lando Norris has made up 2 positions instantly into turn 1. The first time this season he has made up positions. Well, time will tell at the end of the first lap. He's the only driver this year not to make up positions on the first lap whatsoever. Sergio Perez has made a position up on Carlos Sainz, as Verstappen has as well, as Albon and Bearman are trading positions. But Lando Norris, a great start for him on the hard compound tyre, has got around Nico Hulkenberg and Daniel Ricciardo. Hamilton and Ocon join at the back of the grid, and they're already onto the back of this pack, as Charles Leclerc leads from Oscar Piastri, already a second ahead of the McLaren. It takes quite a while to get the tyres up to temperature here as well. And of course, clean air is king, as Piastri has said earlier on in this season. As I'm watching the race start, as they head through the castle section for the first time, and we can see the race start here, and I'm wanting to see how the start was for Lando Norris, and he went straight round the outside Lando Norris of Daniel Ricciardo and Nico Hulkenberg. A brilliant start for Lando Norris. None of that poor starts that we've seen from him during the course of this season. And Lando Norris is on the attack and eyeing up Yuki Tsunoda already, but we can see here that Charles Leclerc leads from Oscar Piastri as they make their way through turn 16 to the back straight for the first time. Leclerc leads from Piastri, from Perez, from Sainz, from Verstappen, Norris, Russell, wrong Mercedes, guys. Russell in 6th, Alonso in 7th, Colapinto 8th, Albon 9th, Bearman 10th. Lance Stroll is up 2 positions as well into P11. But let's see if anyone will change full position here, as Lando Norris is all over the back of Lance Stroll, as Yuki Tsunoda is gaining past Lance Stroll as well. Can Lando maybe get a double overtake here in the pacing McLaren as they head down to the first corner for the first time at the end of this first lap? Lando Norris has gained on Lance Stroll, who's got damage, it seems, as Lance Stroll is going very, very slowly. Is he even in the pit lane? I'm not sure if he is. Lance Stroll is into the pit lane, so Lance Stroll has picked up damage there somehow. So Lando Norris picks up another position, as Yuki Tsunoda was able to defend there from Lando into the first corner, as Lewis Hamilton is up 2 positions as well, as he's got past Zhou Guanyu and Lance Stroll, who's come into the pit lane. Lance Stroll back out, but it looks like that Lance Stroll has lost the front wing end plate of his front wing, so made contact there at the start of the race. We'll see if there's any debris out on circuit. No yellow flags, it seems, but Lance Stroll making contact at the first lap. Adrian Newey must be loving that right now, looking at Lance Stroll at the back of this grid. But Lewis Hamilton fastest in the last sector there as Charles Leclerc and Oscar Piastri. Piastri now back into the DRS of Charles Leclerc as it is activated after a single lap now, rather than the previous two in previous season. But Lando Norris, oh, it was so tight between Lando Norris. He got squeezed in there, boxed in, and did very well to defend from Nico Hülkenberg. He was on the attack, almost four of them going side by side there, down into turn one earlier on, as he is stuck behind Yuki Tsunoda, and you can see that gap forming between Ollie Behrman and Yuki Tsunoda right now. So Norris really needs to get past Yuki, which you think he would do with Yuki not having the DRS of Ollie Behrman in front. But we can see one more time, they go down the back straight here. Oscar Piastri outside of the DRS of Sergio Perez. He does have DRS on Charles Leclerc, so we'll see that activated. It is a lot later in the straight than it has been in previous years, so it doesn't have that much of an effect. And we can see Oscar Piastri gaining. Is he going to make for a move on Leclerc down into turn one? No, but you can see there a fastest lap for Oscar Piastri in that tow, and the top six stay as they are. Perez has gained a position on Carlos Sainz. Verstappen also a position on George Russell, as Hamilton makes another position up there on one of the green wheelie bins, apologies Stake F1 fans, of his former teammate Valtteri Bottas. Lando Norris does get past Yuki Tsunoda there into turn one as well. Actually, he went side by side all the way to turn two and finally gets the move done on Yuki Tsunoda. He maintains DRS as well down through turn two to turn three as Yuki Tsunoda is coming under attack by Nico Hülkenberg as well. They're side by side. Is Nico Hülkenberg able to hold the position? And Yuki Tsunoda, unfortunately, has just lost two positions in the space of two corners and, well, is now down into 13th and only one place ahead of his teammate who is on the harder compound tyre. But Lewis Hamilton making plenty of gains here in the early stages of this race. Lando Norris now needs to focus on building that gap away from the pacey pass car of Nico Hülkenberg, who is on the medium compound tyre. That is a car that is quick in a straight line, but Lando Norris in that McLaren you think would have him quite comfortable. But on the hard compound tyre, Lando is now only one position away, up four at the moment, from that top 10, as we said he needed to do pretty quickly. So Lando Norris, the car's not fighting him too hardly there. Yuki Tsunoda didn't fight too hard against Lando, but without the DRS was a sitting duck to Nico Hülkenberg. What's the gap in front of Lando? The gap in front of Lando, you can see via the interval time. The interval time is plus 4 seconds, 4.2 seconds from Lando to Ollie Behrman. So he's already pulled away from the DRS of Nico Hülkenberg, though, from the Haas. So Lando Norris doesn't really have to focus behind, but Behrman does have the DRS. Does he have the DRS open? No, Behrman does not have the DRS on the Williams in front. But we can see their fastest lap from Charles Leclerc as Oscar Piastri did not have DRS that time around. He was 4 tenths slower last time around, Oscar Piastri. So clean air is king at this stage of the season as these cars have developed. As Tsunoda loses another position to Pierre Gasly. Does Yuki Tsunoda have an issue at this start of the race? Was the contact made by Stroll on Yuki Tsunoda, and that's why he's falling back here? It's unlike Yuki Tsunoda to fall back this quickly, as he's now probably going to lose another position to Lewis Hamilton down into turn three. We'll see as Lewis Hamilton does indeed get side by side with Yuki Tsunoda. Does he hold on to the position? He does indeed. So Lewis Hamilton up 4 positions already into P15, making quick work of these cars at the lower end of the grid. But Yuki Tsunoda, in the space of 2 laps, has lost 5 positions. What has gone on there from Yuki Tsunoda? He must have some form of damage because it's unlike Yuki to lose that many positions that quickly. So we'll see. Was it locked because of the contact with Lance Stroll? Maybe. But Charles Leclerc is leading this race from Oscar Piastri. 1.1 seconds the gap currently is to Leclerc and Piastri. Sergio Perez is 1.3 seconds back, bridging out a bit of a gap to Carlos Sainz, who's 1.7 seconds back, and Verstappen is a further second back from Carlos Sainz. George Russell, 1.1 seconds back. He just gained a bit of time on Verstappen out of turn 16, it seems. But let's see Oscar Piastri. He does seem a bit closer. Let's see how much time he gains with just the slipstream in itself without DRS on that Ferrari. It's around about, it seems, 2 to 3 tenths by the time they get into the braking zone of turn 1. So he does need that DRS to assist him down into turn 1. Lando Norris has closed that gap to 3.5 seconds nearly on Ollie Behrman in the last couple of laps or so. Gaining on Ollie Behrman without the DRS. Nico Hülkenberg using the toe of that McLaren to get him along. But Lewis Hamilton is going quickly at the moment in P15. He's closing that gap on on Pierre Gasly and Daniel Ricciardo in front. And, well, could he be catching Lando Norris soon? We will see. But, of course, different strategies being open here or deployed by Hamilton and Norris. Norris on the hard compound tyre, hoping to go very long. And Hamilton hoping to be, or is being aggressive at the start of this race on the medium. But interesting. Piastri further up front. We can see that Piastri is 0.7 seconds behind Charles Leclerc now, just gone out to 8 tenths. Verstappen has just lost a considerable amount of time to Sainz there last time out on that lap. He was around a second behind Sainz as they were making their way down the back straight. But we know that Red Bull is quite draggy and he has lost time, it seems, in the braking zones on the Ferrari as he is 1.6 seconds back. Gains a little bit of time in the second sector, but George Russell in the DRS of Verstappen now. Will Verstappen be vulnerable without DRS to Carlos Sainz ahead as they head down to turn 16? But Oscar Piastri just loses a bit of time in the dirty air as he heads through turn 16. And, well, it seems that he won't have DRS as they head down the back straight for the 5th time. Or maybe he does. I don't know where the detection line is for Oscar Piastri. We will see. But Tsunoda being caught definitely got some damage, Yuki Tsunoda, as he is being caught by the 2 Stake F1 cars. So unfortunate there for Yuki Tsunoda. But Oscar Piastri really close behind Charles Leclerc now as he sets the fastest lap of the race with a 48.0. We can see that Piastri he's going to get DRS again as they head down into turn 3. Is he going to be close enough out of this corner? Probably not. Loses a bit of time under braking there. You could see he lost about a tenth as they went into turn 2 with the dirty air. Doesn't have as much performance in that car when you are following another car ahead, as Verstappen did hold off George Russell there as they headed down into turn 1. And George Russell just biding his time, trying to apply the pressure to Max Verstappen as he is losing more time to Sainz ahead. Nearly 2 seconds back now. He's losing every time they go down that back straight. Verstappen is losing time. Sergio Perez looks a lot more comfortable at this stage of the race. Half a second quicker last time out than his teammate. So Sergio Perez, there have been talks and discussions that they've had to make changes to the car and that the car is a little bit more understeery than Max Verstappen particularly likes. Of course, he likes a car well recorded, that he likes the car well documented. He likes the car on the nose, and that's not how this car is driving at this moment in time. Perez likes a car that's a little bit more understeery, and that's why we're seeing Sergio Perez deal with the change in this setup better than Max Verstappen here this weekend. But Lewis Hamilton still chasing down Pierre Gasly. Pierre Gasly and Daniel Ricciardo in front on the hard compound tyre. We'll see if he's going to be able to make quick work of Gasly. He's been stuck behind him for 2 laps now, I think. So are those medium compound tyres? Has that charge of Lewis Hamilton's already ended? We'll see. But Norris catching up to Ollie Bearman. That gap now down to 1.4 seconds. The extra grip that Norris has. Ollie Bearman, of course, this is his first full race in the Haas car. Did a race earlier on as a stand-in for Carlos Sainz earlier on in the season at Saudi Arabia. And this is a very different car. They're a very different performing car to the Ferrari, to say the least. But doing a relatively okay job right now. But he is losing pace to Alonso, Colapinto and Albon. Colapinto doing very well, by the way. Lapping very consistently and staying on the back of Alonso and keeping his teammate behind. But they are on varying strategies, Albon and Colapinto. So Albon, no doubt, just holding position and station, going for the overcut on them. As Lando is asked, how are the tyres? And they feel all right at the moment. But he is closing up to Ollie Bearman now. He's nearly a second. He will have, no doubt, the DRS next time around as they head down the back straight. As all aboard the Tsunoda train, unfortunately, down 5 positions, holding off as best as he can the 2 Stake F1 cars and Esteban Ocon there in 19th. Lance Stroll is going to be on the back of them sooner rather than later as well. And I think it's due to that contact with Lance Stroll that has caused some, no doubt, some floor damage or some side pod damage to Yuki Tsunoda, and that's real unfortunate for him. Of course, last time out at Monza, taken out by Nico Hülkenberg, nothing that he could do, and it's been 2 kind of, at the moment it seems like it's going to be 2 race weekends in a row for him to forget about, but nothing more that he could do after a decent qualifying at the start in both basically weekends, to be honest with you. But Leclerc, there we go, leading 1.8 seconds ahead of Oscar Piastri now. So are we now seeing the gap? Are we now seeing at this stage of the race where drivers are now just going to drop back into that window of looking after their tyres? This is generally kind of what we see after around the 7 to 10 lap mark, where drivers only have a short window of attack. And, well, Oscar Piastri We do know the dirty air, the more you slide, the more you're going to take life out of your tyres. And with these drivers being on the mediums as well, they want to take these as long as they can so that they can then go on to the hards. And of course, you never know, a safety car. Some drivers still close out there, but Lando Norris on the back of Ollie Behrman now. He has the DRS open. Can he overtake that quick pass in a straight line down into turn 1? I think he can. And Lando Norris gets past Ollie Behrman into turn 1 and makes quick work of the rookie driver this year. Second race in F1 in a different car this season. And well, Lando Norris is now into that top 10, up 5 positions, and he has more clean air ahead of him on the hard compound tyre. And what this will do for Lando Norris is this will massively benefit him because he is spending very minimal time behind cars in the dirty air. So Lando Norris now can focus on catching up and looking after his tyres in the meantime and not sliding around and catch up to the back of the 2 Williams cars and Alonso. Whereas the front drivers, other than Charles Leclerc, are all in dirty air. You can see that Oscar Piastri having to drop back to 2.3 seconds to get out of the dirty air of Charles Leclerc and just look after the tyres. Sergio Perez coping much better than Max Verstappen at the moment. He's consistently around 2 tenths faster as they're all starting to drop back into that window of just looking after those mediums, whereas Lando Norris can just focus ahead and close down that gap on Albon, who is 3.8 seconds also on the hard compound tyre. But Lewis Hamilton is becoming a little bit unstuck here on the Alpine of Pierre Gasly. He has been stuck behind Pierre Gasly for a considerable amount of laps now. I think this is approaching the 5th lap. He's stuck behind Pierre. He is a bit closer, but he's outside of the DRS. He is lapping quicker, but he cannot get the move done. Probably being a bit cautious on his tyres as well, trying to hit a specific window to pit into. But here we go. Let's see if Lewis Hamilton can gain here on Pierre Gasly. Is he going to have the DRS? I'm not sure. He is in the DRS at the moment, but did he cross the detection line in that 1 second? He did. He is going to have DRS open, but he's 8 tenths back on the Alpine of Pierre Gasly, and it seems like that Alpine is pretty pacey in a straight line itself. Stroll catching up, boys. Only 9 seconds behind. Only 9 seconds behind, yes. But guys, thank you for tuning in to this watch along. If you're enjoying it, please hit that like button. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to hit 30,000 subscribers. So if you can hit that and get that number at the top of your screen ticking over, it would be much appreciated. It'd be a massive milestone for this channel to hit. So thank you guys. Thank you very much. George Russell on the radio. I think a plastic bag just went into the left-hand side airbox. Oh dear, that's not ideal for George Russell. Is that why he's falling back a little bit? If it does, then that means that they could have issues with overheating. But that gap now, 3.5 seconds, Lando Norris on Albon and Colapinto. I thought Colapinto and Albon had actually traded positions there for a second. Sergio Perez sets the fastest first middle sector out of anyone, and well, is actually gaining time on Oscar Piastri. I think Oscar Piastri is struggling a little bit here with his tyre management. As Perez is definitely handling this a lot better than Oscar Piastri at the moment. 1.3 seconds there. Let's see what the gap is as they cross the line. And, well, it was a 48.2 last time around for Piastri and a 47.8 for Perez. He's lapping the same pace as Charles Leclerc at the moment, who is in clean air. So Oscar Piastri struggling on those mediums. Has he taken too much life out of those tyres at the start of this race, trying to push Charles Leclerc? We will see. But Lando Norris, that gap now down to 3.3 seconds as they head into turn 1. Lando Norris. And Lando Norris is being told you are doing much better than the other car, and that the cars in front are struggling with the rears, and that is primarily due to Lando Norris being in the clean air. He is able to manage his pace nice and comfortably. Of course, there could still be a safety car here as Zhou Guanyu, wow, an overtake from Zhou Guanyu, has made an overtake on Valtteri Bottas down into the first corner, as Yuki Tsunoda is still trying his utmost to hold off the 2 Stake F1 cars and the Alpine of Esteban Ocon. Lewis Hamilton coming unstuck at the moment on Pierre Gasly. He just cannot get past him, who is on the hard compound tyre, most likely due to a difference in tyres there, the mediums and the hard compounds. Lewis just trying probably to look after those tyres and not take too much out of them. to try and get past Gasly at this stage of the race. Did think he'd make a bit more gains, but yeah, we'll see. But Charles Leclerc now 3.3 seconds ahead of Oscar Piastri, guys. Wow, 3.3 seconds ahead of Oscar Piastri there, as Oscar is just around half a second a lap slower at the moment. We'll see what that is this time around, as Charles Leclerc, does he set another 47.8? We will see, no doubt, very consistent Charles Leclerc, as he does a 48.0, so lost a bit of time there, as is to be expected, that these tyres get more use on them. But wow, 48.7 for Perez there, hit not as quick as a lap there this time around from Oscar Piastri. Sorry, from Sergio Perez. Is Colapinto faster than Albon? I don't think he's faster than him per se, as Albon actually gets past Colapinto as Colapinto dives into the pit lane. So yes, Albon was on a different strategy. He's on the hard compound tyre and not going to force the issue on his teammate, as they are both on varying strategies. But 10 laps into this race is quite early for Colapinto to be going onto the medium compound tyre. But do they think the hard compound tyre can go 41 laps? That is a very long time, as Bottas is being overtaken by Esteban Ocon down into turn 1, as Bottas is just left floundering in that Stake F1 car on the medium compound tyre, as Verstappen is asked, I have zero bite in the car. So Max Verstappen struggling with grip, it seems, as he has now fallen to 3.7 seconds back on Carlos Sainz, and these drivers are starting to struggle 10 laps, 11 laps into this race on the medium, unless your name is Charles Leclerc and Sergio Perez, it seems. So we'll see if any of the top 10 drivers decide to pit. Lando Norris into P9 now because of Colapinto pitting from that position, and comes out into P15 behind Lewis Hamilton on the hard compound tyre. So let's see if anyone responds to Colapinto, as Leclerc goes fastest in the middle sector, extending his lead out to 3.7 seconds. He's around, as I said, half a second to 6/10 quicker than Oscar Piastri at the moment. So Charles Leclerc goes to a 1:47.9, so slightly quicker than last time around, as Oscar Piastri also goes slightly quicker, 3/10 behind. Only 3/10 slower, 4/10 slower than Leclerc last time out, and Sergio Perez seemed to lose a bit of time there to Piastri, 4/10 as well. But Verstappen, a 49.6 for Max Verstappen there, and that's why he was complaining on the radio, as Alonso does respond to Colapinto. Let's see if he is able to cover off the Williams of Colapinto. This is no doubt who they are fighting in this race today, being the best of the rest. And where does Alonso come out? Colapinto heading down the start-finish straight right now, comes across the start-finish line. It's going to be very close between Alonso and Colapinto as they head into turn 1, and it does seem like Alonso, the Aston Martin driver team, have been able to cover off Colapinto, that undercut there, as he comes out ahead of him. But Colapinto will have an extra lap of warm tyres compared to Alonso, who will have colder tyres than the Williams driver. Yuki Tsunoda has now been overtaken by Zhou Guanyu, and his race is just going from bad to worst, as he is in P17 and could be very quickly overtaken by the Alpine of Esteban Ocon here as they head down into turn 3. How hard will Yuki Tsunoda defend? He does have DRS on Zhou Guanyu, and Esteban Ocon just has to wait patiently. Or does he get the move done on traction out of Yuki Tsunoda? And he does indeed. Esteban Ocon up to P17, and Yuki Tsunoda now down into 18th with Lance Stroll, who has already made a pit stop for that new front wing on his behind. Very, very poor day from Yuki, but nothing by the looks of it I think he could do, as Valtteri Bottas also made a pit stop. But Charles Leclerc, 4.5 seconds ahead of Oscar Piastri now. Those medium compound tyres are falling off of a cliff, it seems, for Oscar Piastri. None of the top drivers have pitted just yet. We'll see if Max Verstappen does, but the problem is for these drivers is that there's not a pit window for them at this moment in time, so they have to extend. If Verstappen was to pit right now, he would come into that train of Lewis Hamilton, Pierre Gasly, and Alonso and Colapinto. So yeah, not ideal for these front runners at the moment. It's only really Charles Leclerc who seems like, actually no, we do have pits there. Apologies, Verstappen and Russell are in the pits there, so ignore what I just said. They couldn't last any longer on this set of medium compound tyres, and where are they going to come out into? And Hamilton also dives into the pits as well, and they're going to all slot in behind Daniel Ricciardo, Ollie Behrman and Nico Hulkenberg. Pierre Gasly on the back of Verstappen as well. And I guess they just couldn't last any longer on that set of medium compound tyres, as Yuki Tsunoda loses another position to Lance Stroll as he dives into the pits as well. A real shame for Yuki Tsunoda. We'll see if this is a retirement for him. It's not ideal for Yuki, but yeah, we'll see. Is he getting moving again, or is he going to retire? It does seem like it was a quick pit stop, and I think he's coming back out, Yuki. Oh no, he stops. He's right at the end of the pit lane. So we'll see. We'll see. But he will be coming out at the end. Oh, he is. Yeah, Yuki is coming back out. But he's going to come out behind Bottas and be dead last. Such a shame, Yuki. Such a shame. But Norris now up to P6 on the hard compound tyre. Of course, with those making pit stops around them. And we can see there that he is now just 2.2 seconds back from Alex Albon. If there is a safety car right now, Lando Norris is an absolute dreamland, because he would gain 9.5 seconds on those behind, and well, that would mean that he would come out. Ooh, where would he come out? He could potentially come out just behind Verstappen and then ahead of George Russell. So that wouldn't be too bad for him whatsoever. His championship rival. No doubt Daniel Ricciardo will allow Max Verstappen to get past, and he'll make quick work of him. We'll see. Anyone else going to pit at this moment in time? No. So Charles Leclerc continues to extend. Oh, Sergio Perez has pitted. Apologies. Sergio Perez has come out into the pits. And Lando Norris is going to get out ahead of him on the hard compound tyre. And this is interesting. Lando Norris now ahead of Sergio Perez, as Perez has made his pit stop. Only 13 laps on that set of medium compound tyres. So this is a very long way for these drivers to go on the hards, if they believe this is just a one-stop race. But we have seen it done, particularly in Spa. But Lando now has Sergio Perez to worry about behind him on a fresh set of hard compound tyres. We'll see how this plays out. But Verstappen made quick work of Daniel Ricciardo, as to be expected. We'll see if George Russell is able to make quick work of Pierre Gasly, unlike his teammate Hamilton, who is in 18th at the moment. But we can see Piastri and Sainz. Piastri losing time. He was, wow, 7 tenths slower than Charles Leclerc last time around, but they're just extending Piastri at the moment. Maybe we're going to see a flip side of a race here, where Piastri is a lot stronger on the hard compound tyre compared to what he is on the mediums, but we will see. Let's see. Ollie Behrman has got Max Verstappen on his behind now. How quickly will Verstappen be able to make quick work of Ollie? You think it would be quite quick, as Ollie is on 13 lap mediums, as is Nico Hulkenberg, whereas Verstappen is on a brand new set of hard compound tyres as they head through turn 13. Is Max going to make a move down into turn 15? It'd be a very brave man to make a move down there, as Sergio Perez sits the fastest middle sector out of anyone. And whoa, Max Verstappen all over the back of Ollie Behrman there. They went very, very slow through turn 15. Of course, less grip on Ollie Behrman, as Max Verstappen, I think, has actually made a move into turn 16 on Ollie Behrman. And he's risking a lot, Max. He's risking a lot. No doubt going to make quick work. We'll see. Well, can he make quick work of Ollie Behrman? You do think he'd gain in the toe, but of course we know that Red Bull is a bit slower in a straight line than everyone out on circuit, as Pierre Gasly is also coming under attack. Max Verstappen is taking him Behrman dives into the pit, so that's why Max Verstappen has overtaken Behrman there, but he wasn't gaining as much as you would think, as I think there's a double overtake here for George Russell on Pierre Gasly. It's very close between the two of them, as Pierre Gasly gets past Daniel Ricciardo. Ricciardo loses 2 positions to Gasly and George Russell, and George Russell also on the attack. Has he got past Gasly down into turn 2? I think he has, and has Gasly lost a position to Daniel Ricciardo back? They've both got DRS. There's chopping and changing the positions all over the place here at the moment, and Pierre Gasly is under attack by Daniel Ricciardo, who's got DRS. Could this bring out a potential safety car anytime a car goes side by side through this section of the circuit? There's always that potential, as Norris is under attack from Sergio Perez as well. He's not able to focus so much on the cars ahead. I wonder if Norris will fight this too much, because he's thinking more so about Max Verstappen than he is Sergio Perez for sure. As they're side by side into the castle section, has Sergio Perez got ahead of Lando Norris? They're going so slow through the castle section. They're side by side through the castle section. Lando Norris and Sergio Perez. Oh my goodness. Wow, Lando Norris has maintained that position, but for how much longer can Lando hold off Sergio Perez, as Yuki is back into the pits once again? Surely this is a retirement for Yuki Tsunoda. Charles Leclerc 5.8 seconds ahead of the McLaren now of Oscar Piastri, as Sainz 2.8 seconds back. Still 3 of them yet to make a pit stop. Sorry, Piastri, as I say that, dives into the pits and is now making his pit stop onto the hard compound tyres. No doubt Lando Norris will be overtaken here by Sergio Perez, but wow. wow, side by side there, the McLaren and the Red Bull of Sergio Perez through the castle section. Wow, Lando Norris on the radio, just listening. And Norris was told, can you hold up Sergio Perez through the middle sector? And that's why Lando Norris team orders the other way round. Can you hold up Sergio Perez? Because that was essential for Oscar Piastri to come out ahead of the Red Bull driver. And wow, of course, after all the talk this weekend of Lando Norris being prioritised with team orders, it was Lando Norris who did God's work for the Australian, and that is why, hang on, and Perez said, he's holding me. And well, that's the point, Perez. That's exactly what you did in Abu Dhabi back in 2021 for your own teammate. So that's what Norris just did there for his, so that he was able to come out ahead of him. And could this Lando Norris, a safety car, would be perfect right now for Lando Norris, as he would be in P6 behind Sergio Perez, with Leclerc and Sainz still yet to pit. Alex Albon is currently in P3 as it currently stands. But the interesting thing here is that Perez crucially has much warmer tyres than Oscar Piastri. It's going to be all about how can Piastri get those tyres up to temperature. We do know that the Red Bull struggles to overtake in a straight line, and Piastri should get the tow from Alex Albon, you would think, down to turn 1. As Leclerc dives into the pits, guys. Leclerc now making a pit stop, as I'm watching a replay here of Sergio Perez, as Lando Norris really did hold up on Sergio Perez there. But here we go. So Perez not able to gain. You can see the gap staying consistent, even with, it's only when the DRS kind of opens that Perez starts to gain on Oscar Piastri. But without the DRS, they are, even in the slipstream, they are not gaining anywhere enough as Charles Leclerc comes out ahead of Oscar Piastri. And importantly for him, just ahead of Alex Albon, who is up into P3 as it currently stands. And, well, will Alex Albon decide to go for a move on the net leader that is Charles Leclerc? Alex Albon finding himself in a very precarious position right now. But, of course, if a safety car was to come out, it would be very beneficial for them. As Esteban Ocon is about to be overtaken by... is it Esteban Ocon there? Yeah, it is Esteban Ocon about to be overtaken by Ollie Behrman down into turn 1. And I think Lewis Hamilton might think about a cheeky move there as well on the Alpine. And doesn't. He just holds back for just a little bit longer. But look at those 4 cars there of Leclerc, Albon, Piastri and Perez. They are nose to nose. Lando Norris currently in position ahead of his championship rival Max Verstappen, but of course he is still yet to make a pit stop, holding out on the hard compound tyre to go very long in this race, because, well, they're all thinking that they can take the hard compound tyre to the end of this race. No doubt Lando Norris is going to be very quick on the mediums at the end. So if there is a VSC, if there is a safety car, then that will massively benefit him come the end of the race on the fresher, quicker medium compound tyre. But Lewis Hamilton did get past Esteban Ocon there and he's now up into 16th. He has Ollie Behrman ahead of him. Zhou Guanyu still yet to make a pit stop. And we can see that Yuki Tsunoda unfortunately has retired from this race. His second retirement in a row for him. So very unfortunate for the Japanese driver, Yuki. Really unfortunate for him. His Sainz now comes into the pits as well. He went a bit longer than his teammate. 17 laps on the mediums. Oscar Piastri looking for a move on the Williams of Alex Albon. Surely he's going to get this move done. Will Sergio Perez also go for a move on Alex Albon? That Williams is not going to be an easy car to pass, and Lando Norris not far behind as well, just looking after his tyres on the hard compound, just following this pack. He doesn't want to get involved in a fight. His race is very different to those ahead of him as it currently stands. But Alex Albon, is he going to be able to hold off Sergio Perez? This could be God's work here for Oscar Piastri as he is on the back of Charles Leclerc now. So could this race have completely flipped on its head? We will see, because is the McLaren better on the hard compound tyre than the Ferrari is? We have seen this throughout the course of this season, where the first stint of the race, the McLaren has not been particularly that good. But then, as it gets onto low fuel, it is much, much better on that second stint, as Oscar Piastri is now only 1.1 seconds behind Charles Leclerc, whereas previously it was nearly 6 seconds when they came into the pits. I'm not entirely sure if it was a slow pit stop from Charles Leclerc or the Ferrari team. Carlos Sainz seemed to have a bit of a slow pit stop, but we'll see. We will see. As Alex Albon is still holding up Sergio Perez, he cannot get past that Williams. It is quicker in the middle sector for sure, the Sergio Perez's Red Bull, but it's such a treacherous place to try and make an overtake. Very minimal room for error, and well, the longer he stays behind the longer he stays behind him here, as Sainz slotted in just ahead of Max Verstappen. That's ideal for the Ferrari team. And ideal for Lando Norris, but Max Verstappen wasn't able to gain another position on Carlos Sainz. George Russell, who has a suspected plastic bag in his air intake somewhere, is in P8, maybe having to look after the temperature in his car and just drag this home. Lewis Hamilton behind Ollie Bearman at the moment. We'll see if he's going to be able to overtake him. He is fastest in the last sector. Lewis Hamilton, pretty much every single time he comes around turn 16 and heads down to turn 1, he sets the fastest lap time. He sets the fastest purple sector, as Perez does finally get past Alex Albon with that extra grip that he has. Even though he's slower in a straight line, with the DRS is able to dispatch the Williams of Alex Albon, who is up in P4. Lando Norris currently up 10 positions into P5, and what both of those drivers would give now for a safety car. Where is a safety car going to come? Who knows? Who knows? Here we go. Lewis Hamilton, DRS open in that Mercedes. Does he have enough to get past the also quick Haas in a straight line? He is gaining. Oh my God, the DRS opens, and he really closes up on Ollie Bearman, but not enough to go side by side into turn 1. But he will have another opportunity as they head down into turn 3. DRS will be open once again. As Lewis Hamilton 0.7 seconds behind, it's not enough really to overtake that Haas down into turn 3. He really needs to be on the rear ends of that Haas, and he doesn't. He stays behind him for one more time. Woo, guys. Woo, guys, we need a safety car, don't we? We need a safety car. 33 laps remaining in this race. If you could please hit that subscribe button. Over 3,500 of you here in this stream. If you could hit that subscribe button, get this stream channel to 30,000 subs at the top of your screen, it'd be much appreciated, guys. Go on, you can do it. And hit that like button as well. Let's get this stream to 1,000 likes, shall we? Let's get this stream to 1,000 likes. You could do it. Just hit that thumbs up button. It really helps me. And it's just a token of your appreciation to know that you're liking the content, guys. And if you want to sponsor these streams, hit me up. Contact me. But Oscar Piastri on the back of Charles Leclerc now. DRS open. Charles Leclerc seems to be struggling a little bit more on those hard compound tyres to get them up to pace. Then the McLaren of Oscar Piastri. He's very close. He's going to go for a move as they're side by side into turn 1. And Oscar Piastri, they're side by side. Charles Leclerc defends. They head into turn 2. Who's going to come out ahead? DRS will be afforded to one of them. But who will have that advantage as they head down into turn 3? As it's Oscar Piastri in the lead. Charles Leclerc has DRS though. Can he get back to position as they head down into turn 3 once more? And Charles Leclerc thinks about it, but has to back off. And Oscar Piastri finally gets the move done on Charles Leclerc as that McLaren has come alive in this second stint on the hard compound tyre. Oh my God, but Charles Leclerc going back at Oscar Piastri down into turn 4. He's not happy about this. He wants to get that position back. And all the while, this has allowed Sergio Perez to close in. And Oscar Piastri is going to try and pull away and break that toe of Charles Leclerc and hope that the Red Bull is going to be able to fight him and so that he can fly away into the distance. Alex Albon in P4 watching this all unfold. Lando Norris close behind, Sainz as well, as Oscar Piastri made a great move on Charles Leclerc on the inside. Oh, bit of a nasty move from Oscar Piastri to cover off Charles Leclerc. Bit on the edge there for the McLaren driver, but he went purely defensive and actually had to weave down to turn 3. But wow, how quickly has this McLaren got up to speed on the hard compound tyre? As we have seen throughout the course of this season, it comes alive in the second stint on the lower fuel. And Lando Norris down there in P5, watching his teammate take the lead of this race from the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc as he's pulling away from him now, but he'll have the DRS, Charles Leclerc, so will Sergio Perez. This is a battle for the lead between three different drivers in 3 different cars. The McLaren, the Ferrari, the Red Bull. Who would have thought the Red Bull was Sergio Perez of all drivers? As they head down into turn 1 once again. Charles Leclerc very close on Oscar Piastri, but Oscar Piastri will have to defend without DRS down into turn 3 again from Charles Leclerc. But Charles Leclerc also has to think about the attack from Sergio Perez behind, who also has DRS, as Alex Albon is holding up Norris, and Norris is also holding up Sainz and Verstappen. They're in 6th and 7th. George Russell just trudging along in P8, but Piastri able to hold off Charles Leclerc down into turn 3. And could it be that a safety car arrives because of this fighting at the front between Piastri, Leclerc and Perez of all drivers. Who knows? This race has just turned on its head. We were saying it was getting a little bit boring, and then all of a sudden Oscar Piastri turned on the afterburners on those hard compound tyres and took the ascendancy to take this lead. But Charles Leclerc is not going to go anywhere, that is for sure. How long can they sustain this attack? Now, as Oscar Piastri has said many a time this season, clean air is king. How long can he hold? He is going to be looking after his tyres much better than the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc in that dirty air, and also Sergio Perez. But they head down to turn 15. We saw Charles Leclerc lose it here in FP1 on the Friday. They all make it through safely this time out. And, well, it is going to be another go down through turn 16, and it's full throttle. DRS will be open halfway down this stretch to the turn 1. Will Charles have enough to get past Oscar Piastri or go for a move? He has to make it stick. This is the thing. The predicament Charles Leclerc is in right now is that he has to make a clean move. Otherwise, Sergio Perez will be allowed to go straight through. But here we go. They're gaining. They're gaining. Can Oscar Piastri, no doubt, will think about going defensive. Does Charles Leclerc have enough? He doesn't on the brakes. They're very, very close though as they head into turn 1. Hardly anything to separate the top 3. Only a second separating the top 3 at the moment, as you can see there. Piastri, Leclerc and Perez as they head through to turn 2, and Leclerc and Perez will have DRS once again. But with that clean air, Piastri just has that extra grip to get the additional launch that he needs to stay ahead of Charles Leclerc with that DRS, and Piastri survives with the lead once more as they head into turn 4, and we still have 30 laps remaining, guys. 30 laps remaining. Norris told, I'm struggling a little bit, but it's okay, mate. The pace may feel a bit naff, but you're still doing a great job. And this is all they can kind of do at the moment. Lando Norris's hope for a potential safety car. He's now holding up Carlos Sainz and Max Verstappen. Woo. A safety car just because 3 drivers are fighting for the lead. You're mad. Well, it's close racing. Close racing always can potentially provide a safety car. That's the nature. If there isn't, where else would a safety car appear? As Hamilton is not able to get past Daniel Ricciardo, who Ollie Behrman has got through now. So Lewis Hamilton coming unstuck here, even on the hard compound tyre. So a little bit more difficult to overtake here than the Mercedes maybe potentially predicted with a new power unit. As Leclerc is stating, they are pushing like crazy, or they have more grip than us. Interesting. So, Piastri is pulled out a bit more of a gap now on Charles Leclerc. 8 tenths that gap is between Piastri and Leclerc, but now you'll see the gain of the Ferrari with the DRS open as Sergio Perez is starting to lose a bit of time to the Ferrari ahead, even though he has DRS. Is he starting to lose grip, Perez? He is on 2 to 3 lap older tyres than the 2 drivers ahead of him, but Piastri maintains that lead, and you can see Perez has actually dropped out of the DRS as Sainz gets past Lando Norris into turn 1. Lando Norris on 22 old lap hard tyres, and well, he now has his championship rival, the man he's trying to chase down in this championship, directly behind him. But of course, one has made a pit stop and one hasn't, so not the position that Lando would like to find himself right now as he is trying to chase down Max Verstappen, but we'll see what happens. And Hamilton is getting past Daniel Ricciardo as they head down into turn 1. The pacing Mercedes in that 3rd sector, making quick work of Daniel Ricciardo, also still yet to pit from the hard compound tyre. And well, we'll see how much longer they can go on for. No doubt a bit longer for those two. Colapinto, by the way, doing a brilliant job as he's closed the gap on Fernando Alonso. A 48.8 for him last time around, and Colapinto is chasing down the double world champion of Fernando Alonso in only his 2nd race of the season. So let's see if he can continue to push on and close that Aston Martin down. Go on, Colapinto, you can do it, buddy. But Piastri, as Perez has got back in the DRS of Charles Leclerc after a good 2nd sector. That's where the Red Bull has been very strong throughout. Alex Albon going very nicely as well, but still yet to make a pit stop. If he was to make a pit stop right now, he would come out in ahead of his teammate, I think he would, and Fernando Alonso. So he'd come out just behind his teammate, I think, Colapinto and Fernando Alonso. He's also hoping for a safety car, but let's see if Lando Norris is going to be able to overtake, hold off Max Verstappen. Charles Leclerc closing up on Oscar Piastri as well. He's close once again, half a second behind, and it seems like the McLaren just has that extra grip than Charles Leclerc as Albon getting overtaken by Sainz, as Norris also is going to get overtaken by Max Verstappen. They're side by side into turn 1, and Max has to back out a little bit as Lando defends. But with that extra grip, Max Verstappen is all over the back of Lando Norris. How long can Norris hold off his championship rival here? I don't think for very long, as Max will have DRS. Lando has lost it from Albon in front. And, well, Max Verstappen, are they going to go side by side into turn 3? They are indeed. Norris is holding off and going defensive to Max Verstappen, but Max Verstappen, is he going to be able to get ahead and come out ahead of Lando Norris into turn 4? No, they're still side by side, the two championship rivals side by side for turn 3 and 4, and Norris holds off Verstappen for just a bit longer there as they head down into the castle section. Lando Norris doing his utmost to hold off the Red Bull and his championship rival. Wow. Unbelievable racing between the two. Carlos Sainz has got ahead of Alex Albon. Piastri, Leclerc and Perez still neck and neck. Now 2 seconds separating the three drivers though. But wow, just watching this back on the TV coverage as Verstappen is all over the back. Lando Norris, that Red Bull has been very quick in the middle sector. And of course he has much younger, fresher tyres than Lando. Lando's on 23 old lap hards, whereas Verstappen is on 11 lap old hards. I'm just watching the replay now as Norris... Oh, just didn't have enough space on Lando. Well, was that a late move from Lando? I'm not so sure. I think Lando just covered the middle of the track, and Verstappen just didn't have the overdrive on Lando. As Piastri sets the fastest lap of the race, but he's only just staying ahead of Charles Leclerc. Let's see if Max is going to be able to overtake Lando now. I don't think he's going to be able to, even with the DRS open. He'll have another opportunity down into turn 3. But that Red Bull is coming a little bit unstuck behind the McLaren, even though it has a massive pace advantage or grip advantage in regards to 12 lap younger hards. But that is the nature of the Red Bull setup at the moment, but it just doesn't have the top speed. As Lewis Hamilton is getting a bit stressed over the radio that he's trying to overtake but cannot do so. He's coming unstuck behind. Oh wow, Max Verstappen actually made a move on Lando down into turn 15, I'm just seeing on the TV coverage. So that's why Max dropped back a little bit. Wow. So he tried to... Did he go for a move there? Interesting. Piastri, 0.7 seconds ahead of Charles Leclerc now. Charles Leclerc has stayed within the DRS of Oscar Piastri for around 5 laps now. And this is not... As Max is reporting, my brakes are not working. Oh no, Max Verstappen had to take avoiding action down into turn 15. The corner they're approaching right about now. Last time around, it wasn't a move he went for. It was actually avoiding action on the McLaren because his brakes hasn't been working. So let's see if he's able to control the car this time around into turn 15. And he is. But that won't do very well for Max Verstappen and his confidence in this car, as you do need the brakes sufficiently around here to get a move done. So watching this replay, and Max had to take real avoiding action there early and cut the corner to ensure that he wouldn't run into the back of Lando Norris. Very interesting, but he is closer this time around. He will have DRS, but Lando also has DRS. Let's see if he's going to be able to defend here from Max Verstappen. I think he will, thankfully, due to the tow that he's receiving and the DRS from Alex Albon. But Max seems to have got that brake performance back as he went into turn 1. Let's see if we'll be able to overtake and sneak past Lando here as he is focusing on the Williams ahead. But no doubt Norris is going to be more focused on Max Verstappen behind. Let's see as Piastri still holds off Charles Leclerc and Sergio Perez. As Max Verstappen closing. Has he got the braking performance to get past Lando Norris? Lando Norris also thinking about a move on Alex Albon as they're nose to nose. You can see there Alex Albon, Lando Norris and Max Verstappen as they head through the middle sector for another time. Very, very interesting stage of this race, guys. But what I meant to say before we saw Max Verstappen have a bit of an off there and a wobble through turn 15 is that while Charles Leclerc has been staying behind Oscar Piastri and within that DRS for the last 5 to 6 laps, all this is doing is killing his tyres compared to Piastri, who is out in front in that clean air. So very interesting. Mate, Mercedes always have up the strategy. They've got to use having an absolute rocket shit. They don't know how to battle in the trenches. They just don't have the car as well. They don't have the car as well. That's the big factor for them. But George Russell is closing. George Russell is now closing up to this pack of Albon, Norris, and Verstappen. So Lando would be absolutely loving if George Russell could get into this fight and overtake Max Verstappen and put a car between him and the Red Bull driver. But 26 laps remaining, guys. We have just gone over halfway through this race as Charles Leclerc with DRS open. Perez falling back a little bit now. 1.4 seconds back on those slightly older hard compound tyres. Charles Leclerc very close on Piastri. A lot closer than he's been previously. And is he going to have an opportunity and maintain that grip down into turn 2 and go side by side with Piastri into turn 3, and he just doesn't. You can see that interval there. Every time they get on throttle, Charles Leclerc just loses that all-important couple of attempts that he needs to make a move on Oscar Piastri down into turn 3. Norris still able to hold off Max Verstappen as well, and George Russell now nearly within that 1 second, 1.6 seconds now, closing ever more lap by lap on Max Verstappen, and Lando Norris ahead of 48.3 from him last time around, 7 tenths faster than the 3 drivers ahead of him, and no doubt he'll be on the back of him pretty quickly. And Russell just said, what lap do we think Albon and Norris to box? And they said, we're at least thinking another 10 laps for both of them. So, yeah, they're going very long, Norris and Albon, in this race, hoping for a mechanical failure from somewhere, a safety car from someone somewhere. But it doesn't look like it is going to happen. We are going to have 8 races in a row where we have not had a safety car. The longest run since before 2011. Verstappen, Lando losing some time fighting. Yep, they are. But Norris and Albon are really kind of just hoping. They're goal hanging. They're goal hanging. So they will have some pace at the end, but not overly a lot, I don't think. We'll see. Thank you, Kakar, for subscribing. Almost 2 years, buddy. Almost 2 years. How quickly those 2 years have gone. But yeah, guys, if you've been enjoying this stream, over 4,000 viewers in here right now, please hit that like button. Let's get this stream to 1,000 likes. And all importantly, if you could hit that subscribe button. We're less than 200 subscribers away from 30,000 subscribers. So if you could hit that subscribe button, guys, surely there's 190 of you in here, 180 of you in here who haven't hit that subscribe button. It'd be much appreciated. And yeah, please subscribe for 30k. It's a big milestone for me, and just, yeah, token of your appreciation. So thank you, guys. Thank you. And yeah, if you've been enjoying these watch-alongs, we've still got plenty of watch-alongs left between now and the end of the season. We've still got 7 races remaining and 3 sprint races. Long way to go. Long way to go. And we've still got 24 laps remaining in this race. It is Oscar Piastri leading from Charles Leclerc. He led all the way through the first stint, Charles Leclerc, comfortably, but Oscar Piastri, that McLaren, seems to be more comfortable on the hard compound tyre than it did in the medium in the first stint. He's leading from Sergio Perez, of all people, who is the lead Red Bull here this weekend in P3. Carlos Sainz, P4, 9 seconds back from those 3 ahead. Alex Albon in P5, yet to pit, same as Lando Norris. And Max Verstappen not able to overtake the McLaren of Lando, even though he has 12-lap fresher tyres than him. George Russell now on the back of this pack as well in the DRS. We'll see if that pacey Mercedes in the down the back straight in particular will have more of an opportunity to get past the Red Bull than the Red Bull has been able to on the McLaren. Fernando Alonso trying to pull away from Colapinto, who's having a brilliant race at the moment in P10. Hulkenberg up into P11. Gasly up 6 positions, by the way, still yet to pit in P12. Ollie Behrman, not a bad race from him thus far, seemed to have struggled in the first stint, is in P13, holding off Lewis Hamilton. Daniel Ricciardo in P15, Zhou Guanyu in 16th, Ocon in 17th, Bottas 18th, Lance Stroll after some contact with Yuki Tsunoda on the first lap and made an early pit stop for a new front wing, is in 19th, and Yuki Tsunoda, as we just mentioned, with that contact with Lance Stroll, no fault with his own, has retired for the second race in a row as Albon and Norris go down into turn 1, and Russell not able to close the gap on Max Verstappen as well. You can see the concertina effect there between the drivers as they really close up down into the braking zone, and then it stretch out again as they get on throttle out of the corner, and Piastri for another lap leads from Charles Leclerc and Sergio Perez. By the way, sorry. I'm Mr. Mark Whitby. Thank you for joining the pit crew, buddy. Much appreciated. Welcome, welcome. If you'd like to support this channel further, you can hit that membership button and join as a member and join our illustrious pit crew, guys. It brings me ever closer to making this a full-time career for you guys and bring you more and more content. So here we go. Piastri and Leclerc still going still going toe-to-toe there. Perez kind of dropping a little bit back and then closing up every now and then, maybe just trying to cool his tyres off a little bit and reduce some of the sliding that he has. With Piastri and Leclerc being so close right now, he doesn't really have to worry about being so close to them and look after his tyres just a little bit more as they are a few laps older. Starting to spread out a little bit. Hamilton closing it up on Ollie Bearman. You can see that Colapinto, that gap to Alonso is staying consistent around 2.5 to 2.8 seconds. It did close down quite considerably, but it seems that Colapinto has had a few poor laps in a row. Of course, only second race here, so just learning to look after the tyres as Charles Leclerc gets really close to Piastri under braking into turn one. As Hamilton is complaining, are you seeing how I have to drive this thing? Not happy whatsoever. Lewis Hamilton, as it currently stands at this stage of the race, he is not happy with the car whatsoever. What has happened to that Mercedes? It looks so good. It looked so good on the Friday, and well, now, as has been the case throughout the course of this season, on the flip side, come the weekend, it just doesn't perform. Safety car, Lando pole. Lewis will do phenomenally with Ferrari. Potentially. But yes, when will Lando Norris and Alex Albon pit? We still think that it's... well, Mercedes said about 2-3 laps ago, but they still think it's going to be another 10 laps. So we're probably about another 7 to 6 laps remaining as we see that Pierre Gasly gets overtaken by Ollie Bearman there and is now just one position behind his experienced teammate in P11. So Bearman up to 12. Lewis Hamilton really struggling in that Mercedes by the sounds of it, and he's now got to try and overtake Pierre Gasly, the driver. Oh, and he's got past Pierre Gasly, it seems, down into turn 3. I was just about to say that Hamilton came unstuck behind Gasly earlier on in the race, but now has got past Pierre Gasly. Gasly, Ricciardo, Zhou, Ocon and Ocon all hoping for a safety car, no doubt, but they are very far down this grid at the moment. They're falling to the wayside. Alex Albon and Norris, much better position for those two drivers at the moment. You can see they're around 1.5 seconds, nearly 2 seconds a lap slower than the top 3 drivers, though, who have made pit stops. And this has definitely hampered Max Verstappen and George Russell, but most importantly, Max Verstappen, as Charles Leclerc is a lot closer to Oscar Piastri this time around. He's gone for a move. They're side by side into turn 1, and Charles Leclerc went for the move, but wasn't able to make it stick on Oscar Piastri. He'd been biding his time, and finally he got a sight at an opportunity of going for a move. He is slightly closer this time around. The closest he's been through turn 2, out of the exit of turn 2. He has DRS open, but does he have enough? And no, he actually switches it off a touch early, Charles Leclerc, as he breaks into turn 3. And well, finally Charles Leclerc had a move on Oscar Piastri, but it wasn't enough as Oscar Piastri defended valiantly into turn 1 and Charles Leclerc just couldn't get the move done. Just watching the replay now, and well, Charles Leclerc has been surprisingly able to stay within the DRS of Oscar Piastri since Piastri took the lead, and I'm very, very surprised about that, as Piastri did have to take, as Norris is into the pits, Norris is being told to box. Norris is now being told to box this lap, guys, as Oscar Piastri had to defend to the inside of Charles Leclerc down into turn 1, but Norris has now been told to pit, and knowing Norris's luck, this is now when a safety car will be released as he exits the pit lane. Oh. But guys, if you've been enjoying this stream, I know I keep asking, we are fast approaching 30,000 subs. Go on, you can do it, guys. You can do it. Surely you can do it. Oscar is taking care of his tyres, you hope. I'm not so sure. I think he's, I mean, maybe. But they go again, guys. They go again. Let's see, can Leclerc, he is close to Piastri. Can he go again on Leclerc? Can Leclerc have another go on Oscar Piastri as they head into turn 1? No, it's close, but not that close between them. And yes, Charles Leclerc just coming unstuck here on Oscar Piastri. Very interesting, very interesting. Go Ollie, go Ollie. Come on, Norris, use that tyre. So Norris has stayed out, actually, as Verstappen is getting overtaken by George Russell as they head down into turn 1. They're side by side, George Russell and Max Verstappen, and this is going to be music to Lando Norris's ears, as Norris was told to box, but he stayed out. He's ignoring team orders, it seems, or maybe they told him to stay back out there. But George Russell going for a move on Max Verstappen, and Verstappen valiantly defends from the Mercedes, and well, they're still on the back of Lando. Wow, but Piastri and well, Perez is just hoping for these two in front to go side by side, get out of position so that he can just slot through and get this win. Do not rule out Sergio Perez here for the win today. The majority of you voted Charles Leclerc would be the winner in this race today, or Oscar Piastri. And Perez and Verstappen, that was the vote for the poll, was they were definitely the two outsiders. And well, Sergio Perez is very well positioned here. I've been in this position many a time in a sim race where you just watch the two in front of you battle it out, and then it comes to a head and you slide through on the inside and still a win at the very end. And that could be potentially the case of what happens here today, as Albon comes out behind Nico Hulkenberg, but he's on a fresh set of medium compound tyres. Hang on. We'll see, but there we go. Piastri, Leclerc's a lot closer this time. Leclerc is a lot closer. He's gaining. They're going side by side into turn 1 under braking, and Piastri has to defend again from Charles Leclerc, but Charles Leclerc is all over the back of Piastri. Less than a tenth separating them. This is very close between the Ferrari and the McLaren, and Sergio Perez is now getting involved as well. The two behind have DRS. They're closer than they've ever been in the previous 10 laps or so. Will Charles Leclerc have a move on Oscar Piastri with the Red Bull of Sergio Perez close behind? And no, they slot into position once again, and Oscar Piastri is coming under intense pressure from the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc in these last few laps, and Charles Leclerc, staying within the DRS of Oscar Piastri since he took the lead, has done tremendously to keep his tyres in good condition. The Piastri may be suffering a little bit more with his harder compound tyres at this stage of the race. We still have 19 laps remaining. You do think it's only a matter of time until Leclerc gets a drive on Oscar Piastri, but these three are fighting very close as they head into the latter stages of this race. But Oscar Piastri is just positioning his car very well right now. There's Piastri moving to the inside into turn 2, is almost chopping the nose off of Charles Leclerc. And if they continue this on, maybe there will be a safety car because of how hard these guys are fighting at the very front. But it's great to see. It's great to see, guys. How are Lando's tyres looking? Lando is just trying a goal hang for a safety car. But here we go again as Bottas gets overtaken by Lance Stroll down into turn 1. But Charles Leclerc does seem to have lost DRS on Oscar Piastri, but has he just gained it back there? The DRS detection is a little bit down this back straight, and he has just sneaked the DRS again, importantly for him, with Sergio Perez on his rear wing as well. Verstappen says, I have no rear grip. The car is just jumping on the rear, losing contact, as he is still stuck in the... Oh, wow, Verstappen's actually lost the DRS of Lando Norris, and Verstappen could be vulnerable here without a DRS or to George Russell, and it does look like that's going to be the case. And even though Max Verstappen has the toe of Norris in front, George Russell, as soon as he opens that DRS, the pacing Mercedes in a straight line surely will have an opportunity of getting past the Red Bull of Max into turn 1. They're side by side as they get under braking, but are they able to hold it? And Russell holds off Verstappen and takes the position P6 from Max Verstappen, but will Max come back at him as they head into turn 2? No. And George Russell holds off Max Verstappen. Max complaining on the radio, and he is not happy whatsoever with that Red Bull this weekend. His teammate is having a much better time of it, and Lando Norris now has George Russell behind him, and Lando on the hard compound tyre doing tremendous work, but he's still yet to make a pit stop. They are hoping for a safety car. There is 18 laps remaining. He will lose points as it currently stands. Well, no, actually, where would they come out? 20 seconds? I mean, he would gain points. He would maybe be able to still gain some positions with about maybe 10 laps or so remaining if he decides to pit them or sooner. But wow, this is where Lando is hoping for a safety car at this stage of the race. But Charles Leclerc on the back of Piastri once again, but not as close. 8 tenths separating him and Perez. We know, as it has been throughout the course of the last 10 laps or so, that Charles Leclerc needs to be closer than that to get side by side to Piastri. Imagine Russell and Verstappen crash and safety car, Lando be over the moon. That'd be amazing for him. That'd be amazing for him. That is for sure. The amount of overtakes. Dear Lord, what is wrong with Max's car? Not entirely sure. Well, it's been an issue, isn't it, for quite some time with the Red Bull car. They've had to put more downforce on the car, and it's made it more understeery, supposedly, the setup they're running this weekend. And you can see Max is dropping back. He's already lost 1.6 seconds to George Russell, and it is not looking good for Max Verstappen. Thankfully for him, Alonso is, well, 16, 17 seconds behind the Red Bull driver. Colapinto trying to chase down Alonso now, who he has gained a lot of time on. His 1.1 seconds back as Nico Hülkenberg is going for the move on Colapinto, but Alex Albon there on a fresh set of medium compound tyres, very close to these two drivers. And Hülkenberg, is he going to go for a move on Colapinto? Will Alex Albon think about the move instead with that extra grip? He definitely thinks so. Is he going to have a move down into turn 2? No, he just stays waiting behind. But Alex Albon, no doubt, Alex Albon will be able to get a drive here on Nico Hülkenberg. He is quick in a straight line, Nico Hülkenberg. But, hang on, as Piastri is being told, Leclerc's tyres look worse than yours at the rear, slightly better on front. So, interesting. So, maybe, we'll see. Right. Max Verstappen falling back from George Russell. George Russell not gaining as much on Lando Norris last time around. Interesting, but even with 12 lap fresher tyres, Russell still only did a 47.3, which was 1/10 quicker, as Zhou dives into the pits now. But Piastri, let's see, 7 tenths back. Perez has just dropped back a little bit again to 1.2 seconds back, but he will be gaining in the toe still to stay with these front runners. But Leclerc is gaining on Oscar Piastri. He seems to have got a good run here, but how good of a run is it? Has he got enough to get Piastri down with a late move, under braking? No, and it does feel like that the move has to be made down into turn 1 due to how well Piastri is defending into turn 2 and the pace that McLaren has in a straight line. From the short run from turn 2 to turn 3 on the Ferrari. Just not able to get the extra grip that he needs in that dirty air out of turn 2, as Sergio Perez has just lost a bit of time there under acceleration into turn 2, as Carlos Sainz is starting to close the gap here and on these front 3. This could very soon be a 4-way fight with 16 laps remaining. Carlos Sainz has just cut into that gap by about... He was 9 seconds behind the last time I looked. He's gained about 4 seconds in the last 3 or 4 laps or so as Nico Hülkenberg has got past Colapinto. Will Colapinto be able to come back at the Haas driver? And he hasn't. And as you can see, Ollie Behrman closing in now. Hamilton closing in. So there's a couple of groups here forming. With Piastri, the front 3, we've got Norris, Russell and Verstappen. It could be a front 4 very soon as Sainz is cutting in. 4.7 seconds now to the front 3. So Sainz is going to be joining this pack very soon. And then you've got Alonso, Hülkenberg, Albon getting past Colapinto. Probably just team orders there. But Charles being told to keep it up. And this is very impressive. And there's a yellow. Esteban Ocon has gone off at turn 1, but he is going again. And he hasn't brought out the safety car. That's the first time we've seen a yellow flag thrown in this race, and that we've seen someone go on at the escape road. So only a brief yellow flag there for Esteban Ocon. Seems like he locked up and is going again. But Charles Leclerc... Here we go. What is this? Round 15 or something for Charles Leclerc and Oscar Piastri. He is gaining. He does seem to be... He needs to be really about another 2 tenths closer out of turn 16 than he currently is. He needs to be about 6 tenths behind Oscar Piastri through turn 16 to have an opportunity at making a move. As Charles Leclerc they're riding that curb. They're getting very close to that curb on the exit of turn 16. Sergio Perez is starting to fall to the wayside a little bit and could be coming under attack from Carlos Sainz very soon. Classic Ocon, Stuffey? But Colapinto starting to fall away, it seems. Alex Albon going to potentially go for a move on Hülkenberg. Lando Norris doing an amazing job, by the way, on a set of 36 old hards. 47.5 last time around. That is 2 tenths quicker than Max Verstappen and a tenth quicker than George Russell. Oh, hang on. Oh, Ferrari trying to dummy McLaren. They just said, do opposite to Piastri. McLaren and Ferrari are playing games over the radio, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. Leclerc and Piastri pulling out a gap now to Perez. Perez 2 seconds back. He's starting to fall away a little bit. Is this him struggling with the tyres, or is this just him trying to look after his tyres a little bit so he can then go on the attack in the latter stages of this race? We still have 15 laps remaining, 14 after this, as Piastri, he's still 0.8 seconds ahead of Leclerc as they head out of turn 16, and that's not really enough. You can see there Esteban Ocon's time deleted track limits at turn 1, confirming that he did go off. But you can see he closes, but not enough. He needs to be 6 tenths. He needs to be 2 to 3 tenths closer on Piastri out of turn 16. Of course, no doubt there's maybe some gamesmanship happening as well with the usage of the battery. How are they deploying at the moment? They have to be thinking about that. Piastri, of course, looking at defending. Leclerc thinking about attacking. As Norris dives into the pits, Lando Norris, he held out for as long as he could, and he's in, dropping down to P7. Hopefully it's a good pit stop and he can get out ahead of Alonso, but he lasted 37 laps on that set of hard compound tyres. And, well, I'll tell you what, there's 14 laps remaining. Max Verstappen is not going quick at all. Could Lando Norris catch Max Verstappen before the race ends on a set of medium compound tyres? This is 14 qualifying laps now for Lando. He could still beat Max Verstappen in this race. What do we think, guys? What do we think? Kelly thinks easily. What do you think? Do you think Lando can catch Max Verstappen, who is having issues with his car? He's not happy with how the car's performing, and Lando has 14 laps to catch up to Max Verstappen. That's basically over a second a lap to catch up to Max. And, well, you do think all he needs to do is get into the toe. One single DRS usage, he would be able to overtake. It's going to be close, isn't it? It's going to be very close. No chance for loss, Lando. I've been an F1 fan since I was a very young kid. As Charles Leclerc is closer this time, guys. Charles Leclerc is that couple of attempts closer that he needs to be. He has the DRS open. Is he going to have a move on Piastri this time down into turn 1? Or is it not enough? And it's still just not enough. He was closer, but not enough. And this is going to continue to the end of the race as Perez is starting to fall away from these front two now. He is losing a couple of attempts per lap, and it's understandable as Perez has been on those tyres just a few laps longer. He's been receiving not just the dirty air from Leclerc, he's been receiving it from Piastri as well. Double dirty air, which hasn't helped his chances whatsoever, and he could be at threat of losing this podium position to Carlos Sainz. But you can see Lando Norris with a fastest middle sector there over Max Verstappen. That was 4 tenths faster than Max Verstappen in that middle sector, and that's the outlap. That is the outlap. So let's see his first time lap, whether or not he can close down on Max, who could be, he is catching George Russell, but George Russell could hold up Max as well, and this could play into Lando Norris's hands as Ollie Behrman goes very close to Colapinto, as does Lewis Hamilton as well, and Lewis Hamilton has become very unstuck today in this Mercedes car. They took an engine, they took a brand new engine, they took a brand new suspension, they put him from P7 all the way to the back of the grid from the pit lane, and he just has not been able to make up the positions, complaining about the car on the radio. But we have a few fights on our hands here, guys, in the remaining stages. A 37.6 from Lando Norris in the first sector. Surely he can keep it going for that long. Surely those medium tyres will last that long on the low fuel as well. As Verstappen is getting the dirty air from George Russell in front. We know that Mercedes of George Russell is quick in a straight line, and it's going to be tough for Max to overtake Russell down into turn 1. What a result this would be, and what a drive this would be for Lando Norris to go that long on the hard compound tyre and then to still points away from Max Verstappen at the last stages of this race. We will see as Piastri still holding off Charles Leclerc. We have the fight for the win on our hands between Piastri and Leclerc. First and second place last time around in Monza. Piastri feeling undone and unjustified that he didn't win that race last time out at Monza. Leclerc over the moon, and Piastri and Leclerc, a future world champion, both of them potentially, as Lando Norris no doubt going to set the fastest lap of the race here, as that gap is down to 13.4 seconds. That was 1.8 seconds difference there between, no, 1.9, no, how many seconds was that? 1.8 seconds between Verstappen and Norris last time out on that lap alone. But it's whether or not Lando Norris can keep up this pace on the medium compound tyre. You can see there the time is definitely gained in the first and second sector. The last sector with the toe that Max Verstappen currently has on George Russell, he's not gaining as much time. As Leclerc is reporting, Piastri is starting to struggle. But Leclerc and Piastri, very, very good driving from there. They've been absolutely brilliant. The fact Leclerc, I'll repeat it again, has been so close to Piastri. He hasn't left the DRS of Oscar Piastri since Piastri took the lead. I can't tell you how difficult that is in these current modern F1 cars, and the fact that his tyres haven't fallen off. That's a credit to Leclerc, and it's a credit to Ferrari with their upgrades as well. But Leclerc is closer this time. Leclerc is a lot closer than he's been previously. He's half a second before the DRS is even opened, and this is the closest he's been for around the last 5 laps. Is Leclerc's comments, is Leclerc's statement true? Is Piastri starting to struggle on those tyres? And Leclerc goes for a move, but Piastri has to defend to the inside, and once again Piastri holds off Leclerc, but for how much longer will he be able to hold off the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc? There are 11 laps remaining, and it is starting to get very tight between these drivers here, as Lando Norris, that gap is now down to 12 seconds between Lando Norris and Max Verstappen. What lap time is Lando Norris able to set this time around as he crosses the start-finish line? Let's see what he does. It was a 45.8. A 45.8 for Lando Norris over Max Verstappen there with a 47.1. So not as big of a gain, but still over a second, which is what Lando Norris needs to close up on Max. Max Verstappen, no doubt aware that Lando Norris is going to be approaching him, looking after his tyres for that impending battle, maybe with Lando Norris on the last lap. We will see. Sergio Perez now gaining a little bit now on Piastri and Charles Leclerc after they just tussled for a little bit, as Hamilton finally gets past Ollie Behrman up into P12. And, well, he now has Colapinto in his sights, but not a good day at the office for Lewis Hamilton whatsoever. But Charles Leclerc is closer. He's 0.7 seconds out of turn 16. Is Piastri starting to lose that rear grip that he needs out of turn 15 and out of turn 16? He definitely is, it looks like, as Charles Leclerc, as we said, he was consistently around 8 tenths back from Piastri. He's now got that down a couple of attempts, the all-important couple of attempts that he needs to make a move on Piastri, and I feel like this might be only a matter of time here. DRS open, will he go for another move again? It might not be enough to get past Piastri once more, because no doubt Piastri is going to go defensive into turn 1. Charles Leclerc sees it. He is just very, very close to Piastri, but all the while Charles Leclerc is forcing Piastri off the racing line. He is forcing Piastri onto the dirty line and forcing him to use more rear grip than he would like to. So 10 laps remaining. I can't believe we've still got 10 laps remaining in this race, guys. I still can't believe we've got 10 laps remaining. There are no lap cars in this race yet. As well, they will be approaching the Stake F1 cars and Stroll and Ocon very soon. Lando Norris update. That gap down to 10.7 seconds. 1.4 second advantage last time around for Lando Norris on Max Verstappen. That's what he needs per lap to catch him. Let's see Piastri and Leclerc. No overtaking here as Perez, with that fighting, with that defensive move from Piastri, has allowed Perez to go from 2 seconds now to within the DRS of Charles Leclerc. Still do not rule out Sergio Perez here, guys. Do not rule out Carlos Sainz as well. 2.9 seconds behind Sergio Perez. Could Carlos Sainz still a win here at the end if there's incident at the front here between Piastri, Leclerc and Perez? We know that they're both very good racers. We know they defend hard, but could they potentially cross that line of defending just too hard? We will see. Guys, if you're enjoying this stream, please hit that like and subscribe button. Let's get this stream to over 1,000 likes, and let's get this channel to over 30,000 subscribers. There's less than 100 subs required to hit that milestone now. Please, if you can do, it would be much appreciated. That number at the top right hand side of your screen, surely over 5,000 viewers in here. Surely one of you? Surely 98 of you can hit that subscribe button. It'd be much appreciated, guys. Big thank yous. But Lando Norris fastest in the first sector for him. That gap down to 9.3 seconds. Max Verstappen's just lost a bit of time to George Russell, it seems, as well. He's had a big wobble somewhere. Lando's made 7 attempts on Verstappen in the second sector alone. Wow. He's made 1.1 seconds up on the first 2 sectors alone on Max Verstappen. And that gap is now down to 9 seconds with 9 laps remaining. we'll see, as Piastri still is holding off Charles Leclerc. Perez on the back of Charles Leclerc as well. Sainz 2.8 seconds back. No doubt Sainz will be thinking about and joining this battle as well, as he is fast approaching a 45.2, 1.5 second advantage there, gained by Norris on Verstappen last time around. It could be a last lap dash for Lando Norris on Max Verstappen. We will see. You can see the time that Verstappen is losing out of the rear traction corners, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, turn 5, as Lando Norris has just got so much more grip on that medium compound tyre, but has only done 5 laps compared to Verstappen's 30 lap old hards. This is going to be a very interesting end to this race at the front and for the championship standings as well, as it does seem that Piastri just gained a bit of time there on Charles Leclerc, as Leclerc 0.8 seconds back on Piastri. The last few times around he was 0.6 back, but not so close this time around. Lando Norris still 7 tenths faster in that first sector over Max Verstappen. Let's see what that second sector difference is between Lando and Max, as Charles Leclerc is close to Piastri, but not close enough, you would think, this time around to have a move on Piastri. Piastri's been very good on the brakes down into turn 1. He has not made a mistake whatsoever this whole race. Of course, that could still change, but with 8 laps remaining, and once again, Piastri leads Leclerc into this race, leads Leclerc in this race, and once again, Leclerc is within the DRS of Oscar Piastri. Unbelievable between the two of them. Sergio Perez on the radio. There's back markers coming up. It's going to get messy. Verstappen now 7.4 seconds ahead of Lando Norris. A 45.4. So that was, what's my maths? 1.67 seconds gain there for Lando on Verstappen. That's what he needs. 8 laps remaining. I did not think this would be the case. It'd be brilliant to see the two championship rivals fight it out on circuit at the last few laps of this race. Piastri still leading 0.6 seconds from Charles Leclerc. We can see Perez waiting in the wings. Carlos Sainz also as well. George Russell kind of in no man's land at the moment in P5. Lewis Hamilton in P12. Not a good day at the office for him. Lando Norris in P7, of course, we know. Another fastest first sector for Lando Norris. He's just taken another 6 tenths out of Verstappen in that first sector. Unbelievable amount of grip he's got over the Red Bull at this stage of the race on those mediums. Albon in 9th. A good race from him on the mediums. Chasing down Fernando Alonso as well. We'll see if Albon could sneak some more points here. Hulkenberg steered in the last points position at the moment and looks to do so. Well, I say it looks to do so, as Colapinto is making up a considerable amount of time over the last couple of laps on Hulkenberg. Maybe Colapinto will be able to steal a point here. Lewis Hamilton is on the back of the young Argentine, though, only in his second race. We can see Behrman in 13th. A solid race from him. His first stint on the mediums wasn't too great, and that's where really his race has fallen down, as Piastri is gone defensive again to Charles Leclerc and still holds him off. Charles Leclerc really needs to be, if he wants an overtake down into turn 3, he literally has to be on the rear wing of Oscar Piastri, around 2 tenths you would think, as he just doesn't have enough gain down the back, down that short straight from second to third. Lando Norris 5.8 seconds back from Verstappen now. Another 1.6 second gain on Verstappen. He is gaining 1.6 seconds a lap. He is going to be, my striking distance graphic, if I had one, would be 5 laps time. So he's going to have 2 laps to have a go at Verstappen, the way I'm calculating this at the moment on these current gains. So that's what I think. But yes, guys, thank you very much for the subscribers coming in. Nearly at 30,000. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. But Charles Leclerc is still showing his nose. Still making Piastri think. This has been an unbelievable drive from the two. As Perez is still waiting in the wings. Carlos Sainz now 1.7 seconds back from Sergio Perez. This could be a dramatic finish to this Baku Grand Prix. We've not had a safety car. It looks like it's 8 races in a row now, but we will have no safety car. But this race is now coming to a dramatic end. Oscar Piastri on Charles Leclerc with Perez and Carlos Sainz in this fight for the win. Max Verstappen being chased down by Lando Norris, who started from 15th position after the disqualification of Gasly in qualifying, and Lewis Hamilton choosing to start from the pit lane. He's up 8 positions at the moment. as Leclerc is gaining again. He's gaining again. He's forcing Piastri to defend every time into turn 1. Maybe not so much this time around. 4 attempts back. And, well, yes, he's just biding his time, no doubt. How much tyres do these drivers have left? Does Sergio Perez have enough in his tyres? Has he saved enough? Was it by design that he dropped back a couple of seconds just to look after his tyres and then close back up? Lando Norris can see the rear wing of Max Verstappen now as he's 4.5 seconds back from Max Verstappen. A 1.3 second gain there, almost 1.4 second gain this time around for Lando Norris on Max Verstappen. Not as good as it was the past few previous laps, but he is still gaining on the Red Bull. No doubt Max Verstappen can see the papaya of Lando Norris's McLaren in his rear view mirrors as we have 6 laps remaining. Piastri still leading. They're approaching this gaggle of about to be lap cars. As you can see, Ricciardo, Gasly and Ocon are on 47 lap, 45, 44 lap old hard compound tyres. They have not pitted once yet. They are the true goal hangers here today for a safety car. But they are lapping considerably slow with the 2 Stake F1 cars behind them. I mean, Poor for Bottas and Zhou, really, because they don't have the machinery underneath them to even kind of compete for points this year. By far the slowest car on the grid. But here we go once again. It is truly, there is 3 seconds separating the top 4 cars now. Carlos Sainz nearly within the DRS of Sergio Perez. Leclerc has importantly just lost the DRS of Oscar Piastri. Is that too much for Charles Leclerc? Has he used too much of his tyres? Or has Oscar Piastri just been saving a little bit? And has he now turned on the afterburners with 5 laps remaining? Update on Lando Norris. It's 3.4 seconds between Lando Norris and Max Verstappen now. Max Verstappen just had his fastest first sector of the race, but it was still 4 tenths slower than Lando Norris, and his middle sector was still 4 tenths slower than Lando Norris as well. Max Verstappen now has to use the grip that he saved up to fight off Lando with 5 laps remaining. That gap between Lando and Max is 3.2 seconds as he crossed the start-finish line. Piastri 1.2 seconds ahead of Leclerc. He's pushed Leclerc out of the DRS, and he's got 3 tenths on Leclerc in that first sector. Piastri is starting to make a move here, you would think, to try and bridge the gap from Leclerc, especially with these lap cars approaching very quickly. Carlos Sainz as well on the back of Sergio Perez. All it takes is for one dodgy move, one move that forces a car out of position, and the others behind will be able to slot straight through. We can see that Piastri is 1.5 seconds ahead of Leclerc now. He's really used that extra grip that he's got by being in the clean air throughout the second stint of this race. And has Charles Leclerc, I said it was admirable, I said it was brilliant that Charles Leclerc maintained the DRS all this second stint while being behind Piastri. A considerable amount of laps to do so, but surely at some point that has to take a hit on your tyres, as Sergio Perez is now thinking about overtaking Charles Leclerc. He'll have the DRS, as so will Carlos Sainz, and this is music to Oscar Piastri's ears as he looks in his rearview mirror, and for once he doesn't have to see the bright red Ferrari trying to send it on him down into turn 1. He can brake comfortably knowing so, but Sergio Perez in that draggy Red Bull does not have enough to overtake Charles Leclerc, even with the DRS open, as Lando Norris is 1.7 seconds behind Max Verstappen with 4 laps remaining. What is happening? Oh my days, oh my days. Grandstand finishes as Perez is going for a move on Charles Leclerc. It's very close. He slots in behind him, and Charles Leclerc had to go defensive, and Oscar Piastri is making a break for it. 2.3 seconds now, the gap to Oscar Piastri and Charles Leclerc. The McLaren driver thought he should have won at Monza last time out, but of course this time around it's been a mega drive from Oscar Piastri. Not so good in the first stint for the McLaren, but you can see there that Norris is 1.1 seconds behind Max Verstappen. He will have DRS this time around. He will have 4 attempts at overtaking Max Verstappen down that long back straight to sneak some points on Max Verstappen. We didn't think it was possible after yesterday's qualifying, but here we are with 4 laps, 3.5 laps remaining. Lando Norris is 0.7 seconds behind him now. Charles Leclerc reporting, I have no rear tyres. So Piastri, Leclerc hit the cliff with his tyres, and Perez has an opportunity to overtake Charles Leclerc here as they head down into turn 1. But we know that the Red Bull is not as quick in a straight line. He is half a second behind, but I feel like he needs to be more worried about the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz behind, who could be sneaking back a podium here. At one point in this second stage of this race, he was 9-10 seconds behind him, and Charles Leclerc is going to get overtaken by Sergio Perez as they head down into turn 1. They're side by side. This is almost 3 cars going abreast down into turn 1, and they slot back in. But Sergio Perez, you do think, has a bit of extra grip there. But how about Lando? Lando on Max Verstappen. He has the DRS open. Will it be a move down into turn 1, or will he have to be patient? And Lando has got Max Verstappen into P1, into turn 1, sorry, not P1, into P6. He's got it done. Lando has done it, but Max Verstappen will have DRS again. Will he be able to go for a late lunge? He's struggling in that car. He's complained about the brakes. He's complained about the rear tyres, and he doesn't have enough. Lando Norris has overtaken Max Verstappen. Of course, it's not the gains that he would like, and there is still three laps remaining in this race, but Lando Norris has still gained some points on Max Verstappen today. It's not a loss. It won't be a loss. It's minimal damage for Lando Norris, but unbelievable from him to get there like that. Oscar Piastri now 3.5 seconds ahead of Charles Leclerc, and Charles Leclerc is trying to defend. He's been on the attack this whole all this second half of the race, but now he's on the defense from Sergio Perez. Sergio Perez also has to be careful of the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz behind. It could be a double podium for the Ferrari team, for the Prancing Horse. Let's see as they go down with 3 laps remaining. Charles Leclerc, does he have enough to defend from Sergio Perez? Perez is a bit closer than he's ever been, and Charles Leclerc, is he having to pit? No, surely not, as Perez is already side by side with Charles Leclerc as they head down into turn 1. Sainz is also thinking about a move as well. They're going to be side by side breaking into turn 1 as Sergio Perez gets ahead of Charles Leclerc. It's very close between the 3 of them. Charles Leclerc still ahead of Sergio Perez there, and has Sergio Perez lost the position to Carlos Sainz? He has indeed. Sergio Perez, the defence from Charles Leclerc, has forced Perez out of position, and Carlos Sainz has got ahead of Perez. But Perez, has he got damage? Has Perez got damage as Verstappen has come into the pits? Verstappen and Sainz and Perez are stopped. Sainz and Perez are stopped. It's a yellow flag at the last stage of this race. Could it? George Russell's into 3rd. Lando Norris is into 4th. And Sainz and Perez have crashed. Sainz and Perez have crashed with 2 laps remaining. And this could be so important. This race will end under a safety car. And Lando Norris is about to get a 4th place because Sainz and Perez have made contact. I'm watching the replay now as Perez made contact with Charles Leclerc on the inside there. Very naughty from Sergio Perez, and that allowed Carlos Sainz to come through. And then as we watch turn 1, and as I'm watching turn 1, oh my God, they locked wheels. They're in the barrier, and that was a mix-up there from Carlos Sainz. He cut across the front of Sergio Perez, and what a shame for Sergio, because that's promoted Lewis Hamilton into the points positions. It's promoted Ollie Behrman into the points positions as well, as he's got past his teammate. What a crazy end to this race, guys. Please, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. We're only just 20 away from hitting the VSC deployed, and we're only just we're only just a few subscribers away from 30,000 VSC, and wow, that's the first crash we have seen in 8 times. What has that done? I need to compose myself. So Piastri is in P1, Leclerc is P2, George Russell, how is he on the podium? Lando Norris is 4th, Max Verstappen 5th, Alonso 6th, Alonso is Albon is 7th, Colapinto in the points, Hamilton in the points, Behrman in the points. And it looks like that it's both drivers there made misjudgments of their alignment as they headed down to turn 2, and they locked the tyres basically. Perez not happy at all, and it's definitely Sainz's fault. Yeah, definitely Sainz's fault as I'm watching it. Big issue and that was a great drive from Sergio Perez, by the way. Sergio Perez did not deserve that ending to this race, and that's a real shame from them, and it's just a big misjudgment from Carlos Sainz. He's not even sure what happened, but wow, the final lap here, the final lap is going to end under a VSC. It's not the way we wanted this race to end, but a dramatic ending nonetheless, guys. A big thank you to everyone who's been tuning in. If you could hit that like button to get this stream over 1,000 likes, go on, you can do so. But what that has done to this race has meant that Oscar Piastri now has a 5.5 second lead over, or 6 second lead over Leclerc with this VSC. It's the only way that this race can end, as the Ferrari and the Red Bull are in tatters, wedged into the wall on the left-hand side between turn 2 and turn 3. A medical car has been deployed, but Oscar Piastri, after missing out on his win last time out at the Italian Grand Prix at Monza, he felt unjustified that he didn't win that race. McLaren pitted him out from the lead, and Piastri, after defending valiantly, a brilliant drive from him, he has won the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. The McLaren has extended its lead in the constructors, well, has now taken the lead in the constructors over the Red Bull as Piastri comes in as your winner. Charles Leclerc will finish P2. George Russell has finished P3. How's that happened? Lando Norris up 11 positions, overtaking Max Verstappen out on circuit into P4. He closes that gap ever so slightly on Max Verstappen. And who would have thought that that would have started at today? Those of you who predicted that Lando would finish in the top 5, well done to you. Max Verstappen in P5, a weekend to forget from him. His troubles don't look to be sorted anytime soon, as Max Verstappen was complaining non-stop about the car this weekend. It suited Sergio Perez more, and we head to another street circuit next time around, guys, at Singapore. Alex Albon in P7. Alonso, in P6. A good second stint from him. 40 laps on the hard compound tyres. Alex Albon, a double Williams points position. Who predicted double Williams? Someone predicted double Williams points in the chat. 7th and 8th from him. And Colapinto, points in his second race. Lewis Hamilton in P9. He's been promoted into the points. Really didn't deserve it. He's had a very struggling race today. Ollie Behrman points as well, beating his teammate in P11. Ollie Behrman has scored points for 2 teams this year in 2 races. The sole 2 races he has done this season. Nico Hulkenberg in 11th, Gasly in 12th, Ricciardo 13th, Zhou in 14th, Ocon 15th, Bottas 16th, Sainz and Perez, they're crashing at the end. Very unfortunate for Perez. He didn't deserve that. He had a brilliant weekend in 18th there. Stroll in 19th, and Tsunoda retired as well in 20th. And wow, Oscar Piastri, we've hit 30,000 subs. Hey, thank you guys. Thank you very much. But wow, Oscar Piastri, man, let's go. We need to do driver of the day, don't we? We need to do driver of the day. Let's not wait for it. There's a few drivers on here who could have this, but confirmed. McLaren have now taken the constructors. Max Verstappen's lead has minimally been eaten into. And let's see who else we go on here as driver of the day. Let's go. I think Albon, to be honest with you. I think he deserves it. I think Ollie Behrman could as well. I think Colapinto. I think those drivers really deserve driver of the day. But wow, 30,000 subs, guys. Thank you very much. If you haven't done so, please do. I'm going to be on the Missed Apex podcast this evening as well. You can tune into that on YouTube. Link for that is in the description below. And you can also find them on Spotify, iTunes, and other podcasting platforms. I, of course, as well, will be conducting. Oh, 40 more likes for 1,000 likes. Thank you, guys. Also, I will be conducting. Let me do it here. And I missed it last week, guys, and I do apologise. Of course, we're not going to be disappearing anywhere anytime soon. We are going to take some questions and discuss the race that we've just had. But I am going to do my post-race Q&A video. I missed it last week due to, unfortunately, real life getting in the way. But let me just post this for you guys. Where is it? But Charles Leclerc there, really shame that he couldn't win that race. But wow, Oscar Piastri is the real deal. If anyone was doubting Oscar Piastri's talents, he has definitely come true here. I know people will be saying he should be preferred for the World Drivers' Championship. Why are there team orders? But Lando Norris still has done better than him throughout the duration of this season. If Piastri had this form from the start of the season, then yes, it would be a completely different discussion. However, Lando Norris is still the main title contender to Max Verstappen, and we'll have a look at those updated points positions very shortly. Wow, but that was a still no. Well, we had a VSC, didn't we? We had a VSC. Oh, hang on. There we go. There we go. Fun fact: Oscar has now won more races than Lando. He has indeed. Yeah, he has indeed. So let me show you this, guys. Let me show you this. Oscar Piastri was driver of the day. How is it at the moment? Who is driver of the day at the moment? We'll have a look. Skibbity bye. Big thank you to everyone who's subbed, by the way. There's too many of you to thank, but I just want to say a big thank you to you all. We hit over 30,000 subscribers. If you've enjoyed this stream, please hit the like button. We'll be back next week for the Singapore Grand Prix, which is my birthday weekend. And I'll be streaming double streams on my birthday. So I hope you guys are going to bring plenty of presents and plenty of cake for me to eat. But if I just show you this, guys, if you go over to my community page, page, guys. Oh, no, maybe not. This is my community page. If you go over there, I want your questions for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. I will be doing a post-race Q&A video, but I'm hoping I'll be able to get posted tonight. If not, it will be tomorrow. But yeah, guys, please let me know your questions. I want them in here, okay? And I'll respond to them. So yeah, quite a bit to talk about in this race, wasn't it? Quite a bit to talk about, but wow. Unbelievable, really. I mean, the fact Oscar Piastri, I mean, who is driver of the day at the moment? 49% of you think Oscar Piastri as it currently stands. Charles Leclerc, 13%. Lando Norris, 29%. Albon, 9%. Credit, an honorary mention needs to go to Behrman and Colapinto. What a drive from both of those two. Behrman struggled a bit in the first stint, but he seemed a bit stronger in the second stint. And Colapinto was just... I mean, Williams... Anyone who was defending, by the way, Logan Sargent's position, this is what Williams could do with two decent drivers. Said it halfway through last season with Logan Sargent. That car is not as bad as what people make it out to be. It's the fact of it they've got one really bad driver and one good driver. So Zach needs to attend to IndyCar so often. See you, Gabriel. Thanks, guys. Signs are such a good race wasn't necessary, but good attempt. I mean. So all it is, it's just it's Carlos Sainz's fault. It's just a misjudgment from him. I think he thinks Perez is more to his left. So I don't think I'll have to look back at the onboards, but I don't think he's particularly looked in his rearview mirror. He thinks Perez is going to be more on his inside, but Perez is literally like millimeters away from him. So he moves naturally away from the wall, but that locks Sainz's left rear with Perez's front right, and it just spins them. So it is Sainz's fault. It's not Perez, because Perez cannot... He's got space on his left-hand side, and you could argue potentially he should be there, but he's not entitled to be there. Sainz has to keep his line. So, yeah, it's just a misjudgment from Sainz, but a very, very costly one. But George Russell has sneaked a podium. That man, how many results has he sneaked this year from being nowhere? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Colapinto deserves a seat next year with this. I mean, he's doing very well. I mean, the thing is, what Colapinto will do is that he will, if he continues this form to the rest of the season, what he will do, he will be basically the next driver to step in for Williams. It gives Williams a nice headache, basically, because it means that if Albon doesn't perform or Sainz doesn't perform, no doubt Sainz will be more costly to get rid of. But if Albon doesn't perform against Sainz, then they've got Colapinto to step in. Or, let's be honest, Albon and Sainz are both looking for that next position further up the grid. I'm not sure they would get it, but that's what they're looking for. Colapinto would be like more happy to be at Williams than Albon and Sainz would be, you know. So Georgia, there's steady race, no issues with him being third. Yeah, no, I don't have any issues with him being third. Look, end of the day, that's racing. It happens sometimes where you reap some rewards. I mean, Alonso finished P6, Albon and Colapinto 7th and 8th. I mean, Norris has now finished 4th. He sneaks some more positions on Verstappen there because points, F1 points. What's the points difference? F1 points race. How many points per race? So, 4th place gets 12 points. So, okay, so he sneaked 2 points on him. Only 2 points. But still, it's still 2 points. And the constructors as well, so. Not only is the RB1 gone numb, so too is RB1 strategy. Did Hamilton overtake Hulkenberg under yellow? I don't think so. Maybe. I'm not sure what happened with Hulkenberg. I think it was before they reached the sector. I think it's before they reached. I think Ollie and Hamilton both overtook Hulkenberg into turn 1. I'll have to replay it, you know. I'm not sure. I think before they reached the yellow flag, they'd overtaken Hulkenberg. I think Hamilton overtook Hulkenberg, forced Hulkenberg out of position, and Behrman snuck through. I think that's what happened. So, thank you, Lewis. Thank you, buddy. 4 poles in a row. Ferrari plan to risk double points. Yeah. Who got the fastest lap? Lando got the fastest lap. Yeah. Max put on the softs at the end to get fastest lap, but he didn't. So, actually, he's stolen 3 points. He's stolen 3 points, actually. Yeah, so... But Lando did brilliantly. He had great pace on his hard compound tyres at the end, by the way, or when he pitted. He was holding off Max, and he was holding off... Oh, look, Hulkenberg noted virtual safety car infringement. So, yeah, something happened with Hulkenberg, but promoted Hamilton and Behrman into P9 and 10. So, something happened with Hulkenberg there. Not entirely sure what. Not entirely sure what that was, but... do you think by this disappointing performance Leclerc can ever think of getting the World Drivers' Championship? So I don't think this was a disappointing performance from Leclerc. I think this was a combination of a brilliant drive from Piastri and it was still a brilliant drive by Ferrari, by Leclerc. The McLaren, I think we still know, is the better car, the better all-round package. Virtual safety car infringement by Max Verstappen noted as well. What did he do? What did he do? What did Max do? Oh, this stream doesn't end yet, Meow. No, we stay on for a while. Unlike other watch-along streams, we stay on, we discuss the race, we have a chat. I'm not just do the commentary and go. We stay here. I love F1, and we sit here and chat. So I'll have a look at that in a second, Kishan. We need to wait for them to be updated. Your birthday's 22nd of September, given. Nice. Good. We've got a good weekend ahead of us. Sorry, yeah, but what I was saying is that I think what we saw in the second stage of that race is that we saw that one, clean air is king, which is why I think it was massively impressive that Leclerc stayed so close to Piastri for so long as he did. I mean, he didn't drop out of the DRS until like the very end. That's the longest I've seen anyone stay within the DRS of another car for the whole of this season. So fair play to Leclerc. And he gave it a go. But we saw the McLaren, as it has done throughout the course of this season, really come alive on lower fuel. So in the second stint of the race, the McLaren does seem to be much, much better than the others. We all thought it was mainly them on the medium compound tyre, but in particular, it's whatever the tyre they put on low fuel, they're just so much better on when it comes to the race. As incident involving McLaren. There's lots of infringements going on here. What's happening? McLaren noted for pit lane infringement. What have they done wrong? I bet it's them probably running over a live pit or something to cheer Piastri. Probably. Something like that. That's your problem. He would rather lose a point than lose position. That wasn't. So let's just get this straight, guys. That wasn't Perez's fault. Oh, I forgot Perez as driver of the day, by the way. Perez could arguably be driver of the day as well. I think he had a very, very good weekend. I'm going to end the poll. Overwhelmingly, it's Oscar Piastri, and I think so. Lando Norris second, 25%. Leclerc 13%. I think Piastri, yes, driver of the day. I think Perez could have had driver of the day if he finished on the podium. Look, that was just a real unfortunate circumstance for Perez with Carlos Sainz. He was fighting Charles Leclerc, and that's what I said could happen at the front between Piastri and Leclerc. It's so easy for the car behind to just slide through, because if you don't make the move stick, you get forced out of position. But yeah, brilliant drive from them all, to be honest. But Max Verstappen is still struggling. I mean, anyone who thinks that Lando can't close that gap, I think he's kind of kidding themselves. It's not going to get any better for Max in Singapore either. They'll be hoping for some sort of rain, because that's the great nullifier. But other than that, dry conditions, I think that Red Bull is just still... If it's driving the way it's driving as well, which is more understeery, which is why Perez did so much better this weekend. Max definitely likes the car on the nose. He doesn't like it understeery. Then, yeah, he's going to struggle between now and the end of the season. So... How did Charles miss out on 4 overtaking opportunities, though? Well, they were overtaking opportunities, but he wasn't fully alongside Oscar Piastri. That's the problem. The McLaren still had the pace. It was still quicker in a straight line. Throughout the course of this weekend, the McLaren has been faster in the speed traps than the Ferrari. The Ferrari hasn't been quick at all in the speed traps. It's been more quicker in the first and second sector. It just hasn't been as slow as what the Red Bull has been, but it was slower than the Mercedes and it was slower than the McLaren, and we saw that today. So he couldn't get that overdrive, especially in the dirty air, where he needs that extra grip on the rears of the car. He didn't get that drive, and he doesn't have that overspeed to get past Oscar Piastri down into turn 1. So Oscar could just park his car on the inside, and he was always ahead. He always had position. So that's why it was always tough. He had to kind of force Piastri into a mistake, and Piastri just didn't make a mistake. He didn't have one lockup. He was so composed, and he is going to be... I mean, if Oscar had this form at the start of the season, he'd be leading the World Championship right now. Would be like on Max's tail, 100%. Like it's crazy. Like, but he hasn't, so that's why Lando's being preferred. And I don't know if I'm right or not, but I really feel that Leclerc bottled it. Yeah, but that's just... we saw car performance. Leclerc did what he could do. There's only so much that a driver can do with the machinery they've got. And the McLaren just came alive in the second half. That's not Leclerc's fault. That's Piastri's fault. That's Piastri's fault. That's the performance advantage that the McLaren still has over the rest of the field. Fernando and Colapinto did a great job. Albon got played with by Fernando. I'm just listening to it's a very muted driver's room afterwards. It's not as fun anymore, is it? It's not as fun. They all know they're being recorded, which is a real shame. You may add Hamilton didn't start on the hards. Yeah, it's the one time he probably should have started on the hards, Swonk, yeah. But then how did both of them move right? What do you mean move right? What an amazing race, Adrian. Yeah. They're chatting. Piastri and Leclerc kind of just chatting. Piastri was like, there's a couple of times I braked really late where I was like, I didn't know if I was going to lock up or not. Didn't know if I was going to make the corner. Says Piastri goes off. I thought there was about 10 laps. I thought it was going to happen. You were going to get me. I was pretty afraid. We would have been up there with Norris in the end, yeah. But what happened to Carlos? Yeah, big crash at the end between Carlos and Sergio Perez. I'm waiting to see what their reactions are to that crash at the end for the drivers' post room. Come on, guys. Come on. Piastri seems to have more maturity than Norris. Yeah, he's very calm. I wouldn't say necessarily maturity. I just think Piastri is a lot more calm and collected than Lando. I think Lando's definitely a lot more emotional. There you go. They're watching the crash. Wonder what they think about it. Gonna show it again. No. When's the last time we had a predictable race? I know, right? I know. Even without a safety car, we've still like... No safety. 8 races now. We've had no safety car, guys. 8 races. That's unbelievable. But yeah, Norris got fastest lap. Yes, so he's cut into Verstappen's lead, from my understanding, by 3 points. But still, it's he's cut into the lead. Today we thought, after yesterday we thought, oh my god, that's like, he might struggle to get points. But today, so Max, by the way, I will say my prediction. So my predictions were nearly on. My predictions were nearly correct. I'm just saying this, by the way, guys. And you can go back to the start of the stream. I predicted Piastri would win this race. If it's a boring race, and it wasn't boring in the end, but I'm saying if there was no safety cars, I predicted Piastri would win, Leclerc would come second, Sainz would come third. But Max Verstappen would finish outside of the top 5. If it wasn't for the Sainz and Perez clash, those predictions would have been 100% correct. I'm just saying. That's like saying... I know that's exactly like saying, oh, if my mum had wheels, she'd be a bike. But I'm just saying, my prediction wasn't that far off. So, my pleasure, Verma, my pleasure. Verstappen without oversteer looks ordinary. He really hates that driving style. Yeah, he really does. And it's not going to get fixed. It's not going to get fixed. I mean, that's why we see Sergio Perez. So when Sergio Perez was a lot closer in performance to Verstappen, it was because the car was more set up to be a bit more understeery. So their performance levels were the same. But Max does seem to really struggle with a more understeery car. And I get it. I also hate an understeery car when I'm doing my sim racing. It's the worst feeling. Some drivers are better at it than others. But Perez also feels very confident on street circuits. And look, they're not going to fix this issue by next week. This is a band-aid for them. They had to run more downforce and run this particular setup to try and look after the tyres more. Because if they try and have a pointy car like Max likes it, the car is just sliding too much and they're killing their tyres. Now, why is that? Supposedly, it's because they went down the wrong concept route and their upgrades have not worked, or their updates haven't worked. Or it's, as the rumours suggest, that they have had to remove a part. It could be completely coincidental, but the so-called asymmetric braking that was clarified in the regulations, Red Bull are now seeing the exact causality of what removing such a device or parts or whatever that would help with that exact scenario they're in right now. It's either the biggest coincidence in the world, or they have genuinely been told to remove said parts that help them dramatically. So, yeah. Breaking news, Oscar's disqualified. Well, it's not over yet, by the way, guys. There have been some investigations that have been noted. So, Verstappen, importantly, being investigated for his first virtual safety car infringement after the race. Now, I'm not sure why that is. As I say that right now, Esteban Ocon as well. I don't know what these virtual safety car infringements are. Because they've come into the pits, Ocon, and because Max did as well, I wonder if it's because they came into the pit lane and they've done something there. But I don't know what infringement that means. So we'll see. We might have rain next week in Singapore. Oh, it's always very likely. So why am I called Stuffeyy? So my first name is Scott. Sorry. So my initial. And then my last name is Tuffy. So it's basically my first initial and my last name. Except I don't have 2 Y's on the end of my name. That's purely just for YouTube because someone else had my last name. But yeah, it's basically my first initial and my last name. Stuffy. Rolls off the tongue nicely though, you know. I like the Red Bull team, just that Horner is not exactly an elegant leader. Yeah. But he's the leader you want. We've said this. If I owned a team, I don't like the guy, but he is the team principal that you would want. You'd want your team principal to be like Horner. He knows how to play the politics of F1. He does hire good people as well. And he's brought a team from nothing up to being multiple world champions. So, yeah. McLaren is ahead in the World Constructors' Championship. Yeah, so I want to see if the gaps have actually changed, guys. So let me have a look at the F1 standings. Has that gap changed? What's that? That is 303. I'm not sure if that was updated. 303 take away 241 equals 62. No, it hasn't been updated yet. I don't think. I'm just looking now. Again, see if someone else shows it. No, it hasn't been updated just yet. Love or hate him, Horner is an all-time great team principal. Exactly. Yeah, you can't deny it. You can't deny it. And the thing is as well is that he's brought the team through adversity. That's what's really good about Horner, is that he has brought the team through, as I said, from being a nothing team to being world champions, and they've gone from being a dominating team through then hardships of like the Mercedes dominating era to then being a dominating team again. So, and unfortunately, it's kind of his own doing that has caused the shitstorm inside the team, isn't it, really? With the own politics within the team. I'm just wondering how Hulkenberg, Hamilton and Behrman changed positions, because when I saw... Yeah, so this has been investigated as well, Siraj. I'm not entirely sure either. I'll have to check back exactly where that happened. Maybe I'll go back through my own stream. Give me a second. I can go back from my own stream and see exactly where that happens. So it wasn't the final lap. So I'm watching it now, just where they crashed. So Hulkenberg was definitely ahead of Hamilton and Behrman as Sainz and Perez had crashed. So they're all behind. There's Colapinto, Hulkenberg, Hamilton and Behrman as they're heading down into the first corner. The yellow flag has been thrown, but there's no VSC just yet. And Hulkenberg is still behind Colapinto through turn one. They're on the yellow flag is still there. The VSC hasn't been thrown yet. They all go very slow past Sainz and Perez. But then the VSC still hasn't been thrown. They leave the yellow flag area into turn 3. And Hamilton overtakes Hulkenberg and Behrman slides through on the inside. So clever by Hamilton and Hulkenberg. So they go through the yellow flag section, which ends just before they get to turn 3, where Hamilton pounces on Hulkenberg and so does Behrman. And they sneak a position, and then the virtual safety car is thrown a few corners later. So Hulkenberg has been kept napping. And I don't know why he's got the VSC infringement. Maybe he retook the position or something. But yeah, Hulkenberg got caught napping. Clever play there by Hamilton and Behrman. With the yellow flag ending, Hulkenberg just got caught napping. They changed after passing the crash. Yeah. And then a few corners later, the VSC got called, which is, clever. What's with Max overtaking under yellows? I don't know if it was also undertaking over yellows. So let's have a look at that as well to see where the infringement was. So Max has already made the pit stop when the VSC is thrown. So Max has already made his pit stop when the yellow flags came out. He was pitting when the yellow flags came out. And then he's been noted for a VSC infringement, so maybe he went over the delta. That's the only thing I can think of with the VSC, because he's out there on his own. He pitted way before the VSC was released. He's out there on his own. He's got no one around him. He must have gone above the delta. So, is this a record for live stream likes? It's not, no. My live stream like record is Monaco, which I think was 2K, like that, or just under 2,000. So, where we had 8,000, we had 11,000 viewers. Singapore's always quite good. So, yeah, we'll hopefully Singapore is also a good one. But I just want to say a big thank you, guys. Hang on, let's change scene. Yeah, I just want to say a big thank you. 30,000 subs we hit, so unbelievable achievement. Where is it? There it is. 30,000 and something when it comes up. There we go. 30,047. Unbelievable. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Race finished a long time ago. Guy Versailles missed out on points for Ferrari today. I think the 2-4 was a good place to settle. Well, it wasn't so much he said. I mean, he was in the lead of Perez. He went clear past Perez. And he still probably could have defended from Perez into the next corner. It's just a misjudgment. He thought Perez was more over to his left-hand side. It's a shame more for Perez than anything, because he needed that result. He was outperforming Verstappen. He out-qualified him. He was showing, look, when the car is in my window, I'm the better driver. Or in essence, I'm the better driver. Or he feels more confident anyway. And that's just really put a sour note onto what was a good weekend for him. So, but I'm sure he'll feel confident going into Singapore. So, I think it only results in a 5-second penalty for Verstappen. Yeah, I don't think it'd be too much. I don't think it's not going to affect him. They're not going to demote him a grid position. So if he does get a penalty, he was miles ahead of Alonso. So great commentator, better than Sky. Thanks, TC. Thank you, buddy. Is James Vowles cooking something? I don't know. I mean, look, this is a very... I think Williams, since James Vowles took over, we know they're quick in a straight line. They have very good top speed. Singapore, I think I'd expect to see them struggle some more. I think points would be a very tall order for them. They've always done well at the low downfall circuits, Monza, Baku. So it's a good back-to-back races for them. But yeah, Singapore is going to be a lot tougher for them, that's for sure. But they are heading in the right direction. And the first step that they needed to make was have two good drivers in their car, because they do have a potential for fighting for points on the regular. And they've now got a driver who's not at the back of the grid every single time. They've got a driver who's close in his second race, bearing in mind, close to Albon's pace. Albon's still the quicker driver, but Albon's is in his third year in that team. So, you know what I mean? Or second year, whichever way it is. So, thanks, Mark. So much better than French Swiss TV, Marianne. Thank you, thank you. Where's my tech setup for the streaming? So my tech setup, I've got a Rode Podmic here. I'm using multi-viewer. I'm using just Streamlabs OBS. That's pretty much it, to be honest with you guys. I have my phone. You can't see it, but I've got my phone there, propped up on a stand that has Sky playing, and I have it in my left ear so that I can hear the TV coverage, so that I can keep you up to date with any team radio and any interesting facts from the pit wall, of course, which Ted Kravitz and that are in. And I also have and also to keep an eye on the replays, because this is slightly delayed. So yeah, and that's the great thing, is my TV coverage is always slightly delayed, about 30 seconds or so. So something happens on here, I can then give you guys the exact details of what happened with the replay. That's how I personally do things. Because I may say that they've gone to the inside, they're defending to the inside, or they're overtaking on the outside, but I may be completely wrong, because it's only icons that we've got on the track map. But hopefully it gets you immersed in it all. Here's to succeed in next week's race and then going to the hospital. Yeah. So I just hope she doesn't arrive on my birthday. The missus is hoping, because she's getting fed up now. She's at that stage where she's like, I'm ready to give birth now. Like, I'm big, I'm uncomfortable. Just, can I give birth now? So, Perez didn't leave enough space either, though. Sainz was, yes, but Perez doesn't have to leave the space. That's the problem. Perez left the space. Perez left sufficient space. So the track limits there is the wall. That's the track limit. So Perez only has to leave a car's width to Sainz at the wall. He can squeeze him as much as he likes there. However, Sainz misjudged that Perez hadn't moved over. And obviously Sainz naturally is wanting to get away from the wall. But Perez is there and they've interlocked wheels. So, yeah, it is Sainz's fault. It's just real unfortunate for both of them. And it would have been a dramatic, even more dramatic end to the race, because I think they would have maybe gone side by side, potentially across the finish line. It seems like Red Bull is not telling something. Max could be leaving the end of the season. I know he's not going anywhere at the end of the season, Sibu. There's nowhere for him to go. He'll probably, if he leaves, it will be 2026, and I think that's the way it's going. To be honest with you, I think that is the way it's going. Could have DR done better if he had pitted in the last lap under the VSC, and I didn't see a future. I don't think. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I mean, they was towards the back of the grid anyway. Those front runners. I mean, those guys who stayed out on the hards. They was all. If my memory serves me right, they were already in like the bottom 5. So they weren't. The whole idea of gaining positions is that under a VSC is that you're ahead of those who have already pitted, and then you get a cheaper pit stop so that you at least close up the gap on fresher tyres to them, so that you're able to overtake, or you gain a position entirely on them by jumping ahead, because you had the track position initially and you get the cheaper pit stop, and you spend less time in the pits. But that plan had already failed because they was towards the back, so they're just going to end up further down the back. So yeah, the VSC came out well too late for Daniel Ricciardo. I mean, did okay. Not great. Been a poor weekend for him. I feel sorry for Yuki more than anything. Two race weekends in a row where he is, no fault of his own, had to retire the car. So, yeah, real shame. Match the Mercedes to 26. I think that's... Yeah, I think George Russell's seat is definitely... Everyone thinks the pressure is on Antonelli for next year. It's not. It's on George Russell. George Russell's seat is definitely vulnerable next year because of Max Verstappen. He's been openly courting Max Verstappen. He's said it. Even when he announced Antonelli, he goes, yeah, we spoke to Max. Like, while he's got Antonelli and George Russell sitting alongside him. So it's like, pressure's on, lads. Carlos drifting into Perez. Perez could have and should have avoided the crash, though. Yeah, there's more that Perez could have done, but he's also not entitled to move over. So, but yeah, self-preservation, you think, didn't you? Can I continue doing the live stream when I become... Oh, of course I am. The live streams aren't ending just because I've got a baby. No, they're definitely continuing. So, yeah, I'll still be doing the sim racing stuff. I mean, look, the end goal is still for this, what I do here with the sim racing, with the F1 content, is for the YouTube to be the full-time career. That's the idea. And then branch out from YouTube, you never know, like real life presenting and stuff. Like that's kind of like the end goal for me with this, or the dream. And that's why I say like subscribing and stuff. I know I may seem a pain in that regard, but it's if you don't ask, you don't get, and it does help to bring me closer to making it a full-time career. So yeah, big thank you guys. Thanks, Marianne. The VSC was much too late for that. Yeah, it did seem like it was too late. I mean, they were off the racing line, but at the end of the day, there's two walls there, and anyone could trip over each other when you're going down that straight. So yeah, they should have thrown the VSC pretty instant. So Ricky's done. You suspect? I think his opportunity's gone now. Yeah, I think it has. I think they'll look to their youth drivers. As I said yesterday, they've got their Arvid Lindblad, who's just gone up to F2 next year. He's really highly rated, like similar to Antonelli was for Mercedes, similar to how Max Verstappen was for Red Bull. He's in the Red Bull system. He's very highly rated. And he's a British driver as well. English and Swedish, apparently. And they've also got Isaac Hadjar. They've got Liam Lawson. They need to start looking to the youth. Like, they can't... These drivers are going to be more fearless than Daniel Ricciardo. They're going to be arguably quicker. And they're going to get more years out of them as well. And they're probably cheaper. Got to remember, Daniel Ricciardo probably isn't cheap. He probably still gets quite a big wage. Yes, he's in the AlphaTauri, but he probably is still 5-10 million more than what maybe Liam Lawson is, or definitely Isaac Hadjar and Arvid Lindblad will be. So there's that element to it as well. So yeah. Cheers, meow. Don't know what she breastfed up. Hey, I know I've put on a bit of weight, Wonk, but Jesus. And I have put on a bit of weight, by the way. Am I joining a Super Formula race in about 18 minutes? No, I'm not, Tin. No, I'm going to go relax for a little bit, to be fair. I'm on the podcast later. I'll probably do a race. I might do the fixed race at 3:30 or something and record another video. So, see me doing a real-life comms job one day, Andy? Maybe. I mean, it's not something I'm particularly going out of my way to search for. It's more so something, if someone approached me, then yeah, I'd give it a go. But it's not something. I mean, I've still got my 9 to 5. It's not 9 to 5. I've still got my day job, which takes up a lot of my time. So yeah, but I'd love to do this full time, and that's why obviously when the baby does arrive, I've got a month's off paternity leave. I'll be trying to fit a bit more content, a bit more live streams in around, mainly when the baby's sleeping and the missus. So. Thank you guys. Yeah, I think Mr. Bean should replace Ocon next year. Well, he's going to. I mean, that Alpine. I mean, Gasly did a lot better than Ocon. I mean, the thing is as well, Gasly's arguably going to do a lot better than Ocon now because Gasly is there next year. Ocon isn't. So similar to Lewis and George, if they find something in the setup, they're going to give it to Gasly, or they're going to prioritise Gasly than they are over Ocon. So yeah. And Gasly did it okay. Actually, he held off Lewis Hamilton for quite some time, which was a poor race for Lewis today. Intriguing, that, isn't it, with the Mercedes? Looked good on the Friday. Lewis was really complaining about the car, how it was struggling, openly on the radio. So, a fantastic F1 presenter. You got great F1 insight and knowledge. Thanks, Sibu. Yeah, maybe one day. How big is my room? Reasonably sized. it's just like a second bedroom, really. There's a lot of space over that way. I'm kind of like in the corner here. That white thing behind me, this thing is the baby's wardrobe behind my chair. See, it's a little like discoloration to the wall. So yeah, it's reasonably sized. Yeah, no worries, Mark, no worries. Quality as always, congrats on the 30k. Thank you, Sid. How does Colapinto get a full-time gig, hang around an Audi? No, I think Colapinto will be out. I think he'll eventually be in Williams. I reckon, I do think, I mean, next year's going to be very interesting for Sainz. I mean, next year's going to be very interesting for Albon and Sainz. I mean, if Colapinto, importantly for him, continues up this form for the remainder of the season, it does give James Vowles a bit of a headache, a nice headache. But it also puts pressure on Albon and Sainz because they're obviously in Williams because there's nowhere else for them to go. They want a top seat, of course they do. But would a top team take them? I'm not so sure. And I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on Sainz and Albon because James Vowles, I think, will sit there and go, "Well, I know I've got a proven F1 driver here, a young F1 driver ready to step in, and his sole focus and priority will be Williams, not necessarily looking up the grid at the next drive, which is what Albon and Sainz are doing. So, and Colapinto would be cheaper as well. So, although obviously the drivers, arguably their salaries are outside of the cost cap, or the highest paid people, the three highest paid people in the I think it's the three highest paid people, unless it's just the two drivers themselves, in the cost cap are excluded, or their wages are excluded. That still plays a factor in a team like Williams, like driver wages. So, yeah, I think Colapinto will be patiently waiting, and I think he will probably eventually be in Williams. I don't know. I think I'd be quite surprised, actually, now I think about it, if Colapinto continues his form, if Albon and Sainz would both be in the Williams seat the year after. Or in 2026 or 2027 at least. So it was definitely Occon's fault for Sainz. Perez crashed though. Ocon could have left. Merc don't want him. No. What? Merc don't want Sainz. Yeah, exactly. That's why he's ended up at Williams. So I don't blame him for hanging around so long to try and get a top seat, because he's left Ferrari and I did think Sainz was a lot better than he is, actually, but I'm starting to think now, but then again, is it partly due to him not being favoured as much, maybe at Ferrari because he's on his way out? I don't know. There is a mental aspect, as we've said with Lewis on his way out to Ferrari, that happens, that maybe you just don't put your full drive and effort, especially now Sainz has got a seat booked up for next year, and he's not trying to impress necessarily one of the top teams anymore. Does he feel like he has to kind of go above and beyond and push himself to the limit in the current Ferrari? Sounds stupid, but look, they're only human. So yeah, I don't know. It's a hard task, but do you think Lewis can take an 8th title next year? Only if he's given a championship winning car, yeah. I think he definitely can. But as we said previously with Ferrari, they need a good car out of the box. If you look at them, they've never really been a team to develop well throughout the course of the season. They've always been like championship contender from the outset. They've never been a team that has been a little bit behind and then they've developed to be the championship winning car. So yeah, that's what we need to see from them, really, for Lewis to have an opportunity, I think, next year. Do you think Lando is still a threat to Max? 100% he is. So I'm waiting until the championship standings to update themselves. Give me a second. So, right, championship standings have updated themselves. So let's have a look. So, let me know if you can. That should be good. So here we go, right, guys. Here we go. So you can see here. Let me move this over. Oh, well done there. Super chat, thank you, Angad. Do I think Lando is still a threat to Max's championship mathematically? Lando will end behind after 24 races. Well, this is what we're looking at right now, Angad. Thank you, by the way. Thank you for the donation. Let me turn on. Why have I not got alert? I haven't got alerts turned on because of the thing, have I? There we go. Thank you, buddy. So this is updated. You can see Azerbaijan. So Lando scored 13 points because he got the fastest lap. So 313 to 254. I'm going to do some terrible maths now. Calculator. What was it? 313. Oh, no. Take away 254. 59 points there is now. So divide that by 7 races remaining. He still needs 8.4. So we've got... This is the races remaining. Hang on. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 races and 3 sprint races. So how many are there for sprints? Have we had a sprint race yet? Have we had a sprint race yet? We have, haven't we? Sprint race points. Is it 10 points for a win? 8 points for a win, 7 points for seconds. So, and bearing in mind, Max is finishing kind of around the top 5 at the moment. And outside the top 5, that's a 4-point difference. So if Max finished outside the top 8, so you get points all the way down to 8. 1 point from 1st to 8th, basically. Starts at 8 points, then reduces by 1 point. So he needs 8.4 over the next 8 races. Sorry, 7 races still, so it's still 8 points. But there's 3 sprint races. So he's in the same position he was before today, pretty much. Hey Taco, good to see you, mate. Morning. When is the Singapore Grand Prix? Next week. So as we just saw here. So you got Singapore 20th to the 22nd. Just giving you guys a reminder. It's my birthday next weekend. So please come with gifts and cake. Then we've got United States. It's like a 3-week gap between Singapore. It's like another 3-week break to United States Grand Prix. So. And then Mexico, Brazil, Vegas, sprint races in Circuit of the Americas, Brazil, and Qatar. So, yeah, there's still points on offer. China was a sprint, that's it. So so he needs 8 points in the main races. Or just over 8 points as an average gain on Max overall. I mean, today I think Lando could have easily finished on the podium. It could easily have been a McLaren 1-2 today, I think, or at least 1 to 3 like on the podium for Lando over Max if he didn't have that misfortune of the yellow flag in qualifying. But I don't know. I hope so. Will Lando do it? I don't know. At the moment, him and McLaren are tripping over their own feet. Oscar Piastri is, well, currently 222 points. How many points is he behind? How many points is he behind now? 254, 2... My maths is terrible, by the way. 254, take away 222. He's only 30... Well, he's 32 points behind Lando, but that is still more than a race win difference. That's the big key factor here between Oscar and Lando. Is that, look, if you look at... This is the reason why Lando's been prioritised, because Lando had started off this season slow. Look. Like, it's only since Austria that he's really started to kick on. So for the majority of this season, Lando has been much better. Yeah, like the first 2 races weren't too great, but then at 15, 10, 21, 25, 18, 12, 18, 19. So that is why Lando's been prioritised, and that's why he's in the position he is at the moment. So Lewis Carr did not like a car with a new power unit. It didn't, Bevo, did it? Didn't really. Colapinto in 10th. Yeah, good drive. No, actually, Colapinto was... So Colapinto has actually gone above Zhou Guanyu and Logan Sargent after scoring his first points of the season in only his 2nd race in F1. Ollie Behrman now has 7 points, and he goes above Kevin Magnussen after scoring... Only doing 2 races this season with 2 different teams and scoring points in both of his races. So fair point to him. Alex Albon has scored points in his last 2 races as well. And then where's the constructors? Can we go to the constructors? Here we go. McLaren have now taken the lead in the constructors standings, guys. McLaren 476 points over Red Bull. Of course, that might not have been the case with Sergio Perez potentially getting a podium today, but because he ended out of the championship. Red Bull 456, and it's also close with Ferrari as well. Ferrari were going to gain quite a few points there today, so they would have. It's been still very close between the top three teams there. 425, so it's about 51 points at the moment separating McLaren and Ferrari, and then Red Bull now in second. So, what's the penalty for passing the car after the flag under the safety? I think it's just plus 5 seconds. I think it's 5 seconds. So, Team Virgo, yeah, Williams 7th and 8th. Yeah, so Sauber, the only team yet to score a point, and it doesn't look like it's going to be any time soon, does it? So we head to Singapore next time out, guys. Will Lando Norris be able to close in on Max Verstappen? That car does not look good whatsoever. It could have been so much worse today for Lando Norris. The fact of it, he's still been able to close the gap. Yes, it's only 3 points, but it could be of 3 very big important points come the end of the season. You'd like to think that he won't get the misfortune that he had with that yellow flag next time out of Singapore. And the way Oscar Piastri's driving at the moment, you would think that the McLarens could finish 1-2 at every race. Of course, the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc looks very good as well. But yeah, I think the one thing we can kind of agree on is that if the car continues to drive the way it has done, as it did in Monza, as it did in today at Baku, the Red Bull is... I mean, Max is going to struggle to finish top 5 every race. And if Lando's in the top 3 every race, that's the 8 points he needs. That's... I mean, it's 7 points between first and second every time. So if Lando wins every race, and I've said this from the get-go, yeah, it's in his hands, but... Max finishes in the top. Lando finishes in the top 2 every race. He's basically going to get those 8 points that he needs, more than those 8 points he needs every race over Max if Max doesn't finish in the top 5. So, did Nico Holt make a mistake leaving Haas to Sauber Audi? Maybe. I bet his bank balance probably hasn't though. But yeah, look, him moving to Audi is probably good for him. He's at the last stages of his career. It's one big payday. He's got a connection with Audi as well, Nico, I think, because of... Did he drive for Audi when he did the World Endurance Championship? I think he's driven their World Endurance... I think he's driven their hypercars before, or LMP1s before, so... There's that connection as well. So, watch out for Piastri too. Yeah. What happened to Max all of a sudden? It's not fair. Lando is so fast. Arsene, Red Bull whining, but it's truth. Yeah, I mean, look. So this is what happened to Max, particularly this weekend. So the Red Bull, we know, has been struggling of late. And it does coincide. I don't care what people say. And it could be a massive coincidence, but it does coincide with this kind of regulation clarification for the asymmetric braking device. Now... The Red Bull is having issues that would be a direct... It is exactly what you would see if such device was removed. Because what it's entitled to help is the lateral movement of braking. So you can move brake bias forward and backwards in a car, but you're not allowed to move it from side to side across the axle. And what that would do is that would allow a car to rotate through the corners, and it would have better grip, and it wouldn't use its tyres as much. It would reduce the amount of sliding you would see. What we've now seen from the Red Bull car is more sliding, and particularly in Zandvoort, that's what we saw. So Max was quick, but he was sliding so much that his tyres just like fell off a cliff, and like he was chased down by Oscar at the end, and the gap to Lando was so large. Also, so what they've done to try and combat that, the Red Bull team, is they've tried to add a bit more downforce to the car so that they're not sliding so much for the corners. They can't run as lower wing anymore because otherwise the car will slide, which they was able to do in the past. They was able to have that lower rear wing and still have that grip through the corners and have good tyre management. Now they're not able to do that, so there's a trade-off that's happening. And what we saw this weekend is that the way that they had to set up the car with that more downforce was to look after the tyres, but the car was a bit more understeering. So this suits Sergio Perez. It's been well documented that Max likes a car that's a bit more on the nose, a bit more more on the front ends, like very responsive when you turn the car, so you control the rear of the car more, and the car doesn't like just go straight on when you turn the wheel. That's what Sergio Perez hates, and he prefers a more understeery car. And that's why we saw Sergio Perez excel this weekend, and why we just heard Max non-stop complaining, and why his pace has been off at Monza and here. That's pretty much the crux of it, and it doesn't look like there's anything that Red Bull are going to bring. I mean, there's rumours that they're going to bring a new floor. I mean, they tried to bring a new floor, or I think they did bring a new part to the floor this weekend. Didn't have too much effect. I mean, I don't know what they're going to be able to bring to fix it within the last 7 races. We'll see. Maybe they're just banking on the fact that McLaren, particularly Lando, won't be able to get those points he needs over the last 7 races. And those 3 sprint races, and hoping that Charles Leclerc and Mercedes get involved and trip them up. There's maybe that as well, but I don't see Max winning a race between now and the end of the season with the way that car's driving, let alone finish on the podium. Because Ferrari have clearly made improvements, and McLaren still seem to be the best all-round package. So we know Mercedes, if the conditions are right, will pop up as well and be competitive. Really intriguing. It's just rough, yeah. But at the moment, it is in Lando's hands. But that's primarily why the Red Bull is where it is at the moment. Why they're having those issues? Some will say it's because they went down the wrong concept route, and some will say it's because of the asymmetry. They've had to remove a device that was assisting their car. So either way, they damn effed up, and they're now in this situation where they're being chased down, and they're now second in the constructors, and that's gone. So Ferrari will probably overtake them as well. But is it all a master plan so that they get more wind tunnel time for next year, especially heading into 2026, where of course they will want that extra wind tunnel time, no doubt. So this car starting from the pit lane didn't get any practice, so could that be a disadvantage? What you mean the formation lap, Mariam? I don't know. Not so sure about that. Oh, hang on. Just seeing what they're saying about Carlos Sainz and Sergio Perez's incident. Karun's investigating it. We'll have a little listen to this, and then we'll be calling it a day, guys. Big thank you for everyone joining in and tuning into the stream today. So I'm just watching the onboard of Charles Leclerc here now. I still think it was Carlos Sainz, but I haven't seen particularly the onboards. Let's have a look. Sergio Perez did get a run on Sainz, definitely, because Sainz didn't hit the apex and was out of position. But yeah, Carlos is on the white line. He's close to the wall. Yeah. It's Carlos Sainz's fault. Perez just holds his line. Watching it from the helicopter angle. Everyone was saying it was unreal when Max was winning with 20 seconds ahead, and now Lando won a race with 20 seconds ahead. That's a 40-second gap closed. I think that's a lot, and I wouldn't be surprised if McLaren found their way around some rules. Yeah, there's that potential as well. Yeah. So Carlos Sainz, I'll tell you what. Yeah, so Perez holds his line, and Sainz has moved. Yeah, Sainz has moved into Perez's path. So, yeah, I mean, look, there is a potential that McLaren have found something to massively improve their car. F1, I'm not saying any team is squeaky clean. The whole the whole game with F1 is to try and find an unfair advantage, in essence, the grey area of the rules, the interpretation of the rules, and get away with it, I guess, for as long as you can. That's always been the case with F1. No team is squeaky clean, no matter who you support. And there's potential that McLaren have done that. We've seen drivers checking them. There's been the flexi wing, of course, has been a big topic of conversation that McLaren and Mercedes have been kind of using, and FIA say no, like their wing is fine. Is there something else that they're implementing? Maybe. But I do think it's more of a correlation. I think it's more of a correlation of something has happened to Red Bull more than anything else. McLaren were kind of on an upward trajectory, and you could see with their recent development over last year as well. They started off a bit poor, but then they developed really well. So they was always kind of in an upward trajectory, McLaren, in their development compared to Mercedes and Ferrari, who were behind. They didn't develop well. As I said, Ferrari never really developed well. We knew Mercedes were always behind in this regulation set anyway, and always chasing. So McLaren were always going to be eventually the closest competitor to Red Bull. We didn't see it happening this quickly, and it's one, either they took the wrong concept route, and if they did, that's a massive dramatic, like that's one of the biggest fumbles in F1 history. When you've gone for a dominating package to then go in, changing your concept to then drop off like a 40-second deficit, basically, like a 40-second change, a 20-second change. Like you've gone from being the fastest car on the grid to being the fourth fastest, arguably now. That is some change, which is why people are insinuating, because that is an unprecedented change in performance, it could be there's more to it. The FIA have asked them to remove something on the car, because that's what we saw with Ferrari in 2017 with the fuel flow issue. We've seen it, Spygate. It's pretty much kind of confirmed that McLaren, because of the Spygate issue that happened the year before, they weren't allowed to win that championship. So I don't think it's out the realm of possibility that the FIA have asked them to remove something on their car. Red Bull are never going to admit that they've had something that the FIA asked them to have on their car removed. And the FIA have history of not disclosing that information as well when they have asked teams to remove parts from their car. So, yeah. Especially when it has such an impact like that, and especially when it's on Red Bull. There's already like the Red Bull cheat thing and stuff with the cost cap and so forth. Like, if it's any other team, maybe they might have announced it, FIA, but because it's Red Bull, I think they kind of wanted to keep it hush-hush. If that is the case, allegedly. I'm not saying that is the case, but you never know. Hopefully it's going to achieve what McLaren did. Maybe. Did Carlos have a Stroll-esque lack of awareness moment today? Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think... Did he check his mirrors, though? I don't know. It's when he checks his mirrors, that's the thing. I mean, you look at where Sainz is. He naturally wants to... He's following Charles Leclerc ahead. He's not looking at Perez, in my opinion. I think it is, yeah. It's a massive mistake from Sainz. Massive. And a costly one as well. Mercedes faced that DAS. Yeah, that was a bit different because that was pre-season. And that was for everyone to see. That wasn't something that was like inside the car that you couldn't visibly see. So yeah, and that was trying to be innovative, I guess. You could say if Red Bull were implementing an asymmetric braking system, that's innovative as well. But I think people were kind of always known that asymmetric braking isn't allowed. But it was a grey area, hence the clarification now. So yeah, DAS was a little bit different because it was pre-season and it wasn't necessarily something that might improve them. So, but yeah. Well, go have a good one. Okay, yeah, thanks, Taco. Good luck, buddy. Wish you well. Ben Suleiman's mate all have shares in Red Bull. Yeah, I mean, look, I do think there has been some. I do think there has been some favouritism with Red Bull, with the FIA, particularly Ben Suleiman. I think when you look at the history of it and decisions that could have gone against them or have gone for them and stuff, it's kind of like, really? Like, if that was Mercedes or if that was Ferrari, I mean, you could say arguably Ferrari would be treated the same way. But yeah. But anywho, don't understand why they were allowed to complete. Why they were. Merc got told to remove dust. They weren't allowed to use it, Scott. It got picked up in the Barcelona testing, and they reviewed it, and they said, no, you have to remove it. So they weren't allowed to use it. So he risked it all in full position with a few laps to go and had a DNF. Do you really think Red Bull would have to remove something on both cars? Yeah, or they might have just had it on Max's car. I don't know. I think they've clearly found it on one or the other. If they found something on one car, doesn't matter which team it is, if they found something on one car, they would have to look at the second car to see if it's also on that as well. And it may be that no, they only put it on one car. So I don't know. I think that's kind of what Perez is insinuating. Perez is kind of insinuating, oh, it's strange that Max is now falling to my performance level. So he's kind of insinuated at Monza, like, yeah, I don't know why, like, Max is now back onto, like, see, like, it's not just me. Max is now at the same level as I am, like. And this weekend as well, he definitely was outperforming Max. So I don't know. But anywho, guys, that is it for me. I'm now going to go chill and relax, have some dinner. I am on the Missed Apex podcast tonight at 7 p.m. As I said, remember, please, how many comments have we got already, or questions do we have in our community chats? What is the Tottenham score, by the way, as well? Tottenham Arsenal. Go and load up or not? 0-0. Oh, go and watch the second half of Arsenal Tottenham. That's disappointing. See you at 7. Yeah, Narcy Perez on before Max, before that Perez, yeah. Red Bull, the test will be the changes to suspension for 2025. Sorry guys, what was I checking? I was checking how many comments we've got. Come on. Oh, I'm watching the virtual safety car infringement. Oh. So Max basically, the race was over and Max went and congratulated Lando and George Russell. I don't know why. Yeah, that's a bit odd, to be honest. That seems like it's a non thing. So I've got 12 questions. That's lovely. Lovely. So remember to go over to the community post page, guys, and see the leave your questions for a video that I will be answering your questions later on this evening and putting out either tonight or tomorrow. So how many dinners did you have today? It's early afternoon. I've had one. I've had brunch, shall we say. I had some egg and avocado on toast. That's what I had. Trying to be healthy, you know. So, but yeah, thank you for the 30,000 subs, guys. Much appreciated. On to 40k. Big thank you. Growing this channel in the right direction. Of course, we have Singapore next time out, only a week away. Can Lando Norris, he took 3 points today out of Max Verstappen. Oscar Piastri winning his second race of this season. He has one more race win than Lando. How crazy is that? But Lando Norris is still the main contender for this championship. He still needs 8 points in each remaining race over Max Verstappen, and that's excluding the sprint races where even more points are on offer. So yes, lovely. Thank you guys. Have a lovely rest of your Sunday. Tune into the Missed Apex podcast later on this evening, or listen on your podcasting platforms, Spotify, iTunes, and others. And then of course leave your questions in the community post and I'll be answering them too. So yeah, thanks guys. We'll see you soon. Bye.